Right. We should all be working. That's the music. Yes, lovely. Right, welcome back, chaps. Another week. After last week's fantastic unintentional cliffhanger that we got to. Bloody amazing. Now, very quickly before we start, Ollie has been doing some artwork. So I thought I'd share this with the stream. In the fact that Ollie has drawn Vane for us all. Or Vine.
It took me like 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's done a quick draw of Vine, which I'm now going to show to you all. There it is. I think what we're going to do now is we are going to promote Ollie to our lead artist for the group.
Oh God!
Any artwork from here on out is going to be done by Ollie. So I thought I'd give a little bit of a hilarity just to start off with, just to show you that.
Yeah.
Right. I actually did the artwork for Seldissa and Ragnar.
Yes, which I don't think anyone can actually see, I'm afraid. Oh no, they can. If you're looking at the D&D Beyond plugin for Twitch, then you will be able to see their artworks. Sadly, there's no artwork for Vine on D&D Beyond just yet because we don't have one. Although I somehow believe that might be coming very, very soon, as in probably later on today after we finish the session. In other words, I'm going to put that on D&D Beyond as your character icon.
Yeah.
Another very important point I want to pop out just very quickly is that, seeing as how all of our broadcasts, we started streaming this in January, and we have been going on. So we have been playing this game for quite a long time now, chaps. We've been playing it for 5 months. So we're nearly at our half-year anniversary. Of the Fractured Empire 2.0. So congrats to that. We've managed to keep some form of semblance of a campaign running for that long. But they, seeing as how they've all been deleted off past broadcasts off of Twitch, because Twitch doesn't store them for that long, we now have a YouTube page. It's actually my YouTube page. So it's the_Weswolf. All of the sessions that we have played up until now, I believe there is 11 of them on there so far, and this will be the 12th, and I'm going to put them up every week once we have finished the stream. But if you do want to go back, anyone that is watching wants to go back and rewatch any of the old sessions to figure out how the guys got to where they are at the moment, then by all means go back and watch through those. We have a new stream layout as well, because I sat down for a day while I was very bored on lockdown, and decided to redesign the entire stream layout. So we've got a lot more, a little bit more of a realistic looking notice board as opposed to the slightly cartoony looking one that we had previously. And yeah, that's about it. So let me do a very quick recap. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing okay.
Doing alright. Good. So let me do a very quick recap, and we shall crack on. I've got a little bit of sort of reading to do to you before I put you across to the new gloriously gorgeous map that I have created for the capital. So let's have a little bit of a recap. So last session we had some interesting cliffhangers at the very end, but we also had a couple of other bits and pieces. So the guys were going through, a couple of sessions ago, met up with a water ganassi called Hydra in the town of Aniden, who asked them to accompany her into the ruins of Idei, which is an old ancient city built very much around magecraft. So it was an arcanist's city, very highly developed in magical technology. She asked them to accompany her into a vault that used to be owned by necromancers, sort of sect. I don't mean sect, like necromancers college in effect. To help her recover a scroll of resurrection, which she would then be using to gain entry into the Mages Guild. So the guys went in, they completed some trials which involved them going into a dream state and completing various different trials. Not all of them were as they expected. They had to think a little bit outside the box with a few bits and pieces, but eventually they got through after fighting a doppelganger of Seldissa. that was created by the door that they had to get through. They went down further into the workshop, noticing most of it was destroyed, but however the very bottom level still had the vault in it. They went into the vault, finding the Guardian, the Flesh Golem Guardian, in there, which they had a very difficult fight with. Seldisa very nearly getting perma-killed because of the massive damage that this creature caused. And of course with the limits on magic that you had, with Ide being a flux magic zone. Magic doing all sorts of weird and wonderful things. You looted and managed to drag yourselves injured and exhausted back to Aniden. Late the next morning, or the next day I should say, you guys arranged passage to the capital city of Abamay, which is where you are now, but I've got a little bit of a pre-reading to do first. You also found in the Inn of a Thousand Doors, you met Five, who was Honey's brother, who runs a magical item shop, and you bought a few bits and pieces. I think Seldisa got a +1 bow, Squishy got a +1 Morning Star, and you bought Heward's handy haversack, unless I'm much mistaken. You got a Warhammer, okay. I thought it was a Morning Star, but so you are now. You then travelled by boat. Before that, you gained entrance into the Mages Guild, so you now have a small sort of like identification card, effectively, to say that you are a member of the Mages Guild, which gives you access to various different bits and pieces within the Mages Guilds across Inveria, and potentially in Swordhofen and Yangguo, with various different bits and pieces. You then caught the boat to Abamay, and I did leave you on a cliffhanger, but again I'll get into the pre-reading now, so let me get into that, hang on. So as you sail along the coastline, you know the capital's location before even the buildings themselves have come to view. Marked by a perpetual plume of smoke rising from the city, the city is a sprawling mess, following the river to its mouth at the ocean. As the boat itself approaches the docks, the dense smog of industry wraps its sinister fingers around your bodies, clenching round your throat, causing you to gag and cough. And the water, once clear, sparkling blue, is stained a fetid brown and reeks of decay. Disembarking down the gangplank. You what?
It fucking smells.
Shut it, I haven't finished. Disembarking down the gangplank, you are greeted by the harbour master, speaking to you through the same sort of mask that you can see on the guards behind him, made of steel and brass with a small slotted hole on either side, who collects your entry taxes from the captain. Walking through the streets of the main district that you are in is like walking through thick fog, and Seldisa, you would know that this is the Glitter Spring district. It's like walking through a thick fog as the smog sits heavily and obscures your view. The buildings are stained with soot, and heavy smells of open sewage waft up towards you every few hundred metres as you walk past grates in the floor. As you walk, you notice a small gathering around a notice board, and approaching it, you see a large poster that has been pinned over the top of all of the other notices on the board. In large lettering, it reads, "The traitor House Freewin will be put to death publicly tomorrow. The execution will take place in the Hart Plaza mid-morning." So let me bring you across to the map Abamay. So again, not to scale, because I have not bothered to do that, because it's a faff. But this is a huge, huge city. It is a sprawling city, absolutely massive. It's London in scale.
Jeez.
It's very nice.
I thought you'd like it.
Yeah.
It's a pretty little map, this one. It's not quite the buildings don't have quite the same texture as they normally do because Photoshop wasn't liking it. So I didn't bother. So, Seldisa, you would know that what you are in currently, which is the sort of red district, is known as the Glitter Spring district. Now, the Glitter Spring district is the sort of the main commercial and industrial district of the city. It's split in two by the Glitter Spring River. The northern bank plays host mostly to residential buildings, and that's where you are at the moment. For those sort of lucky enough to escape the sprawl, which I'll come to a little bit later. Many of them are workers in the various commercial stores and factories which lie on the southern bank of the Glitter Spring. The buildings here are made of heavy-set stone with red-tiled terracotta roofs. They've got crystal windows, so glass windows input, and many of them, to those of you that don't know what they are, Seldisa, I've got more information for you in a second, they appear to be chimneys poking out the top, but these chimneys are made of steel and brass. Seldisa, you know that these are air purifiers, so it keeps the air on the inside of the building pure and clean, and keeps it free of the smog. What did I get to? In the middle of the south bank, again you would know this, Seldisa, the others probably wouldn't. There is a great open space of cobbled stone with a well in the centre called Hearts Plaza, where festivals and grand spectacles are often held. So that would be there.
Yeah.
Ping. Yes, Izzy, that's exactly what it's meant to sound like. Think industrial London. That's oh shit. Think industrial London, and that's basically where you are. That's the sort of theme of this city. It's very much that industrial, smog-filled. What were they called? Like sweatshop things that they had in industrial London, where they put children to work.
Factories, child labour factories.
Not quite that, but you get the idea. Like,
I know what you mean.
Oliver. Think Oliver. And that's the London that you're thinking about. So that's Abame. So what would you like to do? Currently you're at the harbour in Glitter Spring, in the north section of Glitter Spring. You've seen this this poster saying that the Traitor House Freewind will be put to death publicly tomorrow at mid-morning in Hearts Plaza.
I turn to Seldisa and I whisper, God, news travels fast of you arriving. Why do they want you dead?
I want to sort of drag everyone, like sort of the group, into sort of an alleyway where no one will notice.
Okay.
Okay. Here's something I'm asking for you, and I want all of you to be completely honest. What I plan to do will make if anyone who joins me enemies of the state. I'm basically saying quite quietly so no one can listen in on us.
Okay.
If you choose to join me in what I plan to do, you will most likely be labeled enemies of the state. I plan to interrupt that execution.
But what? Who's being executed?
My entire family.
Oh shite! You have my warhammer.
Thank you,
Well,
Ragnar.
I'm not one.
Vane.
I'm not one for needless death. I'm in.
Thank you.
What about Hikiavim?
Ikiavine.
I've always mistrusted the nobility anyway, so of course.
I'm aware.
Malaya.
I'm with you. Workhouses, thank you, Siltrus. That's the word I was looking for. Of course, you guys saved me. The least I can do is to help you save your family. That's if we can.
Question is, how do we do it? We could either be stealthy and try and break him out, or attack him in the square.
I mean, Seldisa, would you know where they might be being kept? I mean, the only information that we have is that the execution is going to be tomorrow at mid-morning in this place called Hearts Plaza. I presume you know where that is, Seldisa.
Yeah, on the map, where is Hearts Plaza?
It's where you've labelled Grand Plaza.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's sort of a big sort of gathering area on the other side of the river.
Yeah, and you would know. You would know this is like. Do you know the plaza in? Is it St Paul's Cathedral?
Yeah.
Is it St Paul's Cathedral? No, that's in UK. Like in the Vatican, they've got that massive, great big meeting space which you can fit literally thousands of people in.
Yeah.
Hearts Plaza is that big. It's huge. It's massive.
I mean,
well, we can't go by force, considering
we could certainly try.
And even if we knew where my family was being kept, I am very sure that most likely they would have the royal guard guarding them.
only course.
I would imagine most likely they'd be kept in sort of basically next to the greatest guards in the entire kingdom, and also have suits. Can I go into a bit of detail what suits are?
Sure you can.
Yeah, they're sort of like iron suits that a person can wear. They're like you can get it's sort of like mechanical armor. Like it's kind
Would
of
you
like
me to describe them, Seldis?
Yeah.
I have no idea what mechanical means.
So what Seldisa describes to you a mechanical creation. So it's part magic, it's part technology. So it's a mixture of cogs. There's parts of it that are made of steel armored plating. There's steamworks in there, and it's all powered by magic. It's called Magitech. And it comes in various different forms. And Seldisa would know this, but I haven't obviously shared all of the information with Ashley just yet. There's lots of different types of this Magitech. There are automated versions, which are entirely construct-based, which are effectively just clockwork soldiers, almost, but more. There's little drones that fly around that can give a viewer a magical vision through them and can give some limited attacks. There are small sort of like almost exoskeleton style suits that some of the guards wear, and you would know, Tildis, that they are very commonly used in the what's it called, Moon District, to safeguard the residents of the Moon District. And of course, in the main keep as well, and you would also know that there are even larger suits, like proper mech suits, which can house one, even two. Some of the larger ones house 2 pilots inside, and they are built as one-man war machines. So one of these is capable of taking out a small army by itself.
What the hell?
Yeah.
I don't think we could take it on with force.
Do you know any weaknesses, perhaps?
As I've actually test piloted many of the suits, including the kind that was mass produced for protection. Is there any weak points on them? Like I know,
not as far as you know. So you know how they work, but you wouldn't know the finer workings of them. So you know how to pilot one, but you wouldn't know the finer workings of what might have the weakness. That would be your father's and your sister's sort of like expertise.
Yeah.
You just tested and piloted the things.
Like on the top of my head, the only weak points I can think of is is kind of like take on down a knight, so the joints, vision points, and maybe.
That would probably be the only things that you can think of, yeah. And I mean, the ones that you remember testing, they weren't walker-style ones. They were like tanks, so they had tank tracks. But they had a pilot seat and 2 arms, and many of them were outfitted with magical cannons.
Why am I thinking of out of character? That sounds like the gun tank from Gundam.
I'm thinking like,
I mean, like outside of that, the only point of weakness aside from that I could think of is most likely the way the pilot got in. Like, if you find a way to sort of open the suit up, you could take out the pilot and hijack it, but I don't entirely know where that point is.
Question: Is it like Titan from Titanfall or like power armor from Fallout?
No, if
Or
you
someone-
look at, it's very similar to if you look at Legend of Korra. It's the
like the platinum suits.
yes, kind of not the latest
yeah.
ones, but the first ones, the first set of
Okay,
suits.
yeah.
Very similar to those.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Let me have a look at this. Legend of Korra.
So it's not the fully humanoid ones; it's the ones that have tank tracks.
I see. Okay.
Like,
So it's kind of,
I know.
it's kind of like a really jumped up power armor robot thing that you're
Yeah.
controlling.
yeah, literally
makes
it is. It's a mech suit. It's a tank.
Right. I don't suppose there'll be any chance of. I'm trying to find the right fancy word of it. Requisitioning one of ourselves.
Those, if I most likely said who I am, there's a good chance they might realize who I am and might sort of, well, arrest me.
I didn't say we asked for it.
I
I
mean,
say if we need to borrow one.
I mean,
Well,
I'm
it
presuming that
could.
Ragnar is saying there in borrow in quotation marks.
Yeah.
I mean, those suits are really powerful, and I mean,
Exactly.
like if we could sort of try to confuse the pilot and sort of try and get on board it, we could open it up, but it would
Perhaps what
also
that's-
paint a giant red flag on us, since because those suits stick out, and if we can't give who we are, then we're most likely gonna have to fight more of them, and
Perhaps we only need to take one that's not being used and just try and be stealthy, like in the middle of the night or something. Just to keep out of sight.
I've been thinking another plan
go on.
to potentially sort of hire some members of the criminal underworld, because I've heard stories that there is quite a bit of criminal presence here, and I was wondering if we could get some of them to rile up some trouble in other parts of the city and try and draw the guards away, and then make our move.
That could help as well.
That might well be an idea, but do we have the funds for it? The
That is
ATV.
Good point.
Do we have the funding? Because criminal underworlds run off of gold. And
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
after our
Oh.
previous, with the travel here and our previous expeditions, we are now quite low on that gold.
It's quite,
Yeah.
that's quite true, in fact.
And if we somehow found a way to sneak in and get your family, the hardest part is getting out.
Yeah.
By
I
the
think
sounds
we
of
need-
it, that is very true. It sounds like that wherever they are going to be kept is going to be too well guarded for us to even
Yeah.
think about
My
doing
ba-
that.
My best guess is going to be the Citadel, and yeah,
you
we are
would
not
know
getting,
the Citadel is called Witten Keep. And
there
actually,
is no
all of you can see it. Whilst
Yeah.
most of the city is covered in smog and sort of like grey cloud, you can see this citadel. It's made of pristine grey marble with stone roofs, and it towers across the over the sky, and it seems to almost shine through the smog, almost as though the air around it is much clearer than the rest of the city.
We
I
are
just
not
wonder,
going
has there
to
been like
infiltrate
have
that.
there been previous executions?
Oh yeah, I mean executions were always something not necessarily always well publicised, but there have been previously more well publicised, like war criminals and so on and so forth, or well, for what you thought were war criminals at the time. I suspect that you're probably questioning some of those.
Yeah.
I-
Is it?
Do I have any idea like how many guards were there?
Well, with the more high-profile ones, which you imagine that this one will also be very high-profile, you suspect you saw lots of well-guarded. So you saw a vast mixture of the various different Magitech sort of armaments involved. So you would have seen probably maybe one of the larger tanks on some of the very high-profile ones, or certainly the high-profile ones that you've seen, there would have been loads of these automated soldiers. And the automated soldiers, by the way, you know that instead of like hands and arms or forearms, they instead have these long, vicious blades. So they are very much designed to kill. And even some of them are employed as assassins. So they are almost like drop soldiers because they're disposable.
Yeah. We are going to need a distraction.
There would also have been the little flying drone ones as well that would have floated around the top of the crowd, keeping an eye on everything as it went through. There would have also been, of course, a mixture of normal guards. There would have been the armored guards with the exoskeletons built into it. Some of the Royal Guard would have been there with their own exoskeletal armaments, which would have been vastly improved over the standard armaments that the standard guards would have had, etc., etc.
Seldisa.
Yeah.
If we even if we somehow manage to get them out of there with distraction, we'll probably be killed before we even get to leave the city.
I think we need more information before we can make a plan.
Yeah. Part of my plan lies on the feather token we got.
I know, but at the same time, we cannot possibly plan without knowing a bit more about the situation. Perhaps we need to investigate.
Yes.
Get more information out. Maybe bribe a few guards or bribe a few people, officials that might be able to give us a bit of information.
We'll make our way to the
By bribe, I mean,
Yes.
I will threaten them about their life.
Let's take a look around Hearts Plaza.
So you're going to go to Hearts Plaza, yeah?
Yeah.
It's a level land.
Okay, so you're walking through, you can cross over the bridges, no problem. As you're walking through, you see some of these, the guards wandering around. They're in sort of a mixture. Some of them have got like heavier plate mail, some of them are just wearing chain mail, but they all seem to be wearing the same sort of uniform. It's a mixture of crimson, red and black with a symbol on their chest. You can roll me a quick religion check, everybody.
Can I also try to hail down a guard?
Sorry?
I'll try and hail down a guard.
No,
you want to try and hail down a guard?
Yeah, as in to try and separately. I'm not with Study, so I'm just trying to have a word with him. Awesome.
Ooh.
Let's see what everyone gets from this first. I'm going to roll for Hikivim and Malaya. Funnily enough, both of them rolled a 6, so that was really shit. In fact, I should probably get their character sheets up. I'll do that later.
I got a nat 20.
You got a nat fucking 20? Jesus Christ. Well, that makes sense for you, actually, and the other two you got...
Yeah.
So, excuse me.
How the hell is this Ragnar?
Ragnar, I don't know how you would know this.
I feel like I need to be making these checks with disadvantage, considering his I don't feel like
you probably
Ragnar
should actually. Yeah, make it with disadvantage because it doesn't make sense for you to know this shit.
Yeah, I am.
I swear if he gets like a...
Yeah, that's better.
No, Ragnar, you just recognise this symbol as the symbol of the Empire. That is Emperor Nox's symbol.
Yeah, I'll have to accept that because he shouldn't know shit.
You shouldn't know
really.
any of this shit, really, should you?
Yeah.
So you just see it as that. Seldisa, you know that this is the symbol that Emperor Nox adopted when he began his reign as the Emperor, but you are probably a little bit too young to know any of the significance behind that. Or whether or not this was always the symbol. You just know that this is Emperor Nox's specific choice in symbol for his reign. Vine.
Actually, Owen, sorry if I could just interrupt. I feel like from now on, if I feel like Ragnar wouldn't know, I'm just not going to roll because I feel like you just shouldn't know.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. It's up to you if you want to roll in the first place. You don't have to roll. So, Vine. This symbol has always puzzled you. So you have seen it before. You know that this is the symbol for the Empire, and it has puzzled you. You have, with your affiliations with the Messengers Guild and with your dedication to Ogma and the God of Knowledge, I will get you a picture of it shortly. I don't currently at the moment. I will find you one. But actually, I can describe it very quickly. It's a spiral, but it's almost like it's got little thorns coming off of it. I will find you a proper picture, but that's the description of it. You know that this is not previous symbols for the Empire. This is definitely not something that has been previously used. It's not a symbol of any of the main gods either. So it's not a dedication to any of the gods that you know of. It's the only thing that you have found in your searches is that this symbol is ancient, and it has something to do, some connection with a different plane, but what you've never found. But this symbol is an ancient symbol. It has connection with a different plane of existence.
Yeah.
What that is, not a fucking clue.
I'll just say that I explained this to the rest of the group.
Okay, yeah, cool.
I whispered it in their ears. I'm trying to be.
So as you're walking along, you spot these guys walking around. They are also wearing helmets, and each of their helmets have this same mask inbuilt into them that you saw on the Harbour Master and his guards, and it's sort of like inbuilt. It's got almost like a face plate inbuilt onto the mask with this. This looks kind of like, if I wanted to give it a modern explanation, it looks a bit like a respirator. It's like a gas mask, effectively. So you make your way to Hearts Plaza. So Hearts Plaza is this giant, this huge open space. It's immense, absolutely massive. Right? You could probably spend 15 minutes walking from one side to the other. So it's huge. It could fit thousands and thousands of people, and it is already well guarded. So you can already see that there's these automaton, and these automaton are very skeletal looking. They have a core in the center of crystal that is being potentially, you suspect, is what's powering it. How, you don't know. And these really long, abnormally long forearms that extend out into these razor sharp tips. Almost like the blades of scissors, and they've got very sort of like their heads look fairly similar to do you know the battle droids in Star Wars? Similar to those really elongated faces that sort of come up and come down at an angle, a bit like almost like a beak.
Wait, battle droid or battle droid?
Just the basic battle droid from Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I know.
We're
in all of them. I know
beige one. That one.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So their heads like a little bit like that, and they walk on very spindly legs, but they seem very agile. But most of them are just stood there. You only get a couple of glances of them moving here and there. There are these small drones, sort of like they're kind of like orbs floating around in the air, with this large crystal embedded in it that seems to be looking around. In fact, actually not one large crystal, but there's several large crystals all looking around, and they're floating across the plaza at fairly regular intervals, and there's several of them there already. There's a few standard looking guards, but then you also see guards wearing heavy set plate mail. And each of the individual plates are connected by tubes that sort of almost hiss and slide as they move. And they have what look like glass tubes filled with lightning coming down the sides and intertwining between some of the plates. And again, these heavy-set, sort of like visored helmets with masks inbuilt into them. And then you see it. Stood at the back, closest to the citadel, stood behind a great wooden stage. It towers 13 feet into the air. Great, massive, wheeled, treaded tracks and huge clawed arms. And a very, very well reinforced looking plate. Looks like a bit like a cockpit in the front of it. And it is made of steel, iron, and you can see one hand on the inside of the claw. There is a gaping hole filled with glowing orange.
How the hell are we going to be hitting that thing? How the hell are we going to hit any of these? There's no fucking chance we're surviving even this fight.
And above it all, you can see this Witten Keep, this gorgeous building of grey marble, right at the back, which is of course here.
If not 5 armies.
Everyone roll me an Arcana check whilst you're there as well.
Oh, okay.
Just a very quick Arcana check for me.
Can we get an idea of how many exactly? People?
Well, there's not very many people here, but fine. Oh, lovely. Fine, your connection to magic is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, your connection to magic is gone. You cannot feel it.
Oh.
What?
You can't feel your connection to your magic.
I guess you want to speak up about that, Vine? Vine, are you lad? You see?
And it does feel. It feels very drained. Yeah, Higvim is looking a little bit. Something feels strange here.
Anti-magic.
That would be my guess, yes. I cannot feel any connection to magic here.
This is impossible. So this, I don't think we can take him here.
So,
unless we had one of those suits each.
We need to find a way either into one of the most heavily fortified fortresses here, or in the largest square here.
Surrounded by things that we couldn't even fight.
It'd be so
your family back through a massive city with people who would want to kill us. And we don't have magic.
We'd be dead on arrival.
So I will say that this feeling of magic not being there was only you only feel it as you entered the square, as you entered the plaza.
Is there so this you know the city? Would you know what's causing this, or how would we stop this magic field?
I'm not sure. I'm not the architect, and most of my experience is piloting suits, and if you were to ask anyone, it would most likely be my younger sister. She is probably the most magically gifted of our entire family.
Yeah, you wouldn't know basically anything about what might have caused this magic, Seldisa, because you've never had that connection with magic, really.
They've thought through almost every plan we could think of.
This is just for daily business. We don't even know what it'd be like tomorrow.
Yeah.
We need to know.
Well, actually, not quite. So, Lisa, you would know. This isn't normally how well guarded the plaza is. You suspect that they are just being prepared in case of somebody trying to disrupt the execution tomorrow, or setting stuff up in order to do it.
If you don't mind me, I'm just gonna try and squeeze a bit of detail about when the execution is happening tomorrow. If you don't mind me going and do that, I know I feel like it's a good decision. I don't want them getting suspicious of me.
Yeah, just Go on your own, since because I want to try and stay away from as many guards as I can.
How are you staying hidden as well, by the way, Seldisa?
You remember the cloak I got sort of
You've
yesterday?
got a cloak and you've got your hood up. Fine. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't worry. If there's one thing I can do, is play the dumb dwarf.
Do you know anyone in this city who would help us?
Do you have any allies potentially as well? Like to your what was it? Your idiots.
I'm not sure.
You never really dealt with that sort of side of things.
Yeah.
You were more of the free spirit of your family.
Yeah. That would be my brother you would have to talk to, and I'm very sure that if for some reason they managed to get a treason charge against the Free Winds, it would have to most likely be a majority of the nobles.
Oh, hang on. I just realised we don't know that everyone is being executed tomorrow. It might be all of them, or it might be some of them.
I would have most likely known that they would specify a person on the execution list.
No, they wouldn't get. Knowing you would know a little bit about military tactics in terms of these, because you would probably have joined some of the guards occasionally on raiding parties, etc., etc. So you would know a little bit about potentially the military tactics behind what was going on. And you suspect that they would not have put they'd put as little information as possible out there for people to use.
Yeah.
Because the more information they put on, the more likely it was that somebody would use that information to disrupt it.
Okay, I want to, if you don't mind me, I'm gonna go talk to that guard over there. I'll just try and play dumb, I guess. If you guys don't mind.
I don't mind. Just be careful.
It's worth a try.
I try and flag down the nearest guard that doesn't look too busy, that doesn't look too grumpy.
What do you want, dwarf?
Oh, hello there. I'm new to this city. I just got passage, and I saw this flyer about an execution. And I don't know who these people are. I'm just curious who these people are, and when it's going to be happening. Because
one of the noble houses was caught as traitors to the Empire. As the flyer says, it will be happening mid-morning.
Mid-morning? Oh, sorry, my reading skills is quite bad. So, why are they traitors? What do they do?
We are not at liberty to discuss that information with you, dwarf.
Okay. Just making conversation. You say mid-morning?
Well, don't. If you want to make conversation, find a tavern. Now get out of our way before we arrest you and put you up on that stage alongside the traitors.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Thank you. That guy was not a happy chappy.
So, what information did you get? Did anything?
Nothing. He wasn't willing to even budge a little bit. Be worth probably scouting with taverns, seeing like public opinion, how they've reacted to this. Did you have much public face in your? I whisper in your family. Sadly, sir.
How much influence?
I mean, you would have been one of the more prominent ones, and you probably would have been sort of favoured somewhat by the general populace. You created your father Killian created jobs through factories, but you also were one of those families that rose up the ranks very quickly through favour. So you probably have a bit of a mixed reception, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm very sure that if any attempt of ours to sort of inspire some kind of uprising will be put down.
Not quite uprising, just information. Someone who still supports your flag, essentially. So someone who's not just going on the bandwagon of let's execute him.
We could go and visit the factories that my father set up.
Might be worth doing, at least to see if they're still up and running.
So
Also,
you would have known that the factories whilst your father set them up, you didn't always have that much direct involvement with them. That would have been more of your brother's side of things. But even then, they very much managed things from afar. So the factories would have been overseen by workmasters in them. And then those sort of factory managers would have reported back to your brother and father.
Yeah.
I'll also suggest if we can try to do it stealthily, to check out your house of residence, just to see if there's anything there, any clues left by your family or whatever, if possible, that might.
Now, I'm going to cut in very quickly with that one. Your house is in a district called the Moon District. And that is this, obviously, lighter-looking area over here. It's walled off from the rest of the city and from the Citadel itself. And the Moon District is, compared to the rest of the city, a paradise. It is glorious. The air inside the Moon District is clear, it's fresh, it's beautiful, and it's maintained like that because across the wall are situated crystals which keep the air inside pure. By constantly casting magics inside, blah 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 blah. You also know that access to this district is very tightly controlled. You are not capable of getting into this district without a valid reason and permit. And it is guarded by troops, like squadrons of guards wearing exosuited armor.
Yeah, we're not getting in there anytime soon.
And seeing as you can't reveal your role without being executed,
either that, or they might just laugh it off. Remember that it just says the family of Freewill. There isn't any kind of wanted note for me.
Very true. He's got a very good point.
The Imperial Army did march past Ibera, and most likely thought that we were dead. Well, saw that most of us were dead, so they most likely think that I'm dead as well.
I mean, technically you did die.
We all died.
I believe we should have a look around the taverns and see if we can draw any kind of information from it.
Yeah, well, even hear some rumours. And I can have a little drinky poo while I'm at it.
It's probably now starting to get sort of like mid-afternoon by this point as well, so...
Ragnar, may I kindly ask you that you go this night without drinking?
Oh no, I'm only saying having a wee drink. I'm not thinking immediately. Oh yeah, what time is it, Owen?
It's mid-afternoon.
Mid-afternoon, right? So time is ticking.
Yeah, so let's have a start sort of listening around the taverns and seeing if we can find any information.
Also, by the way, so Lisa, because you were talking about potentially where they were being kept earlier, if you had to guess, it would probably be in the keep.
Yeah, which there is no way.
The Emperor's throne.
Yes, the keep is where the Emperor lives, so you could imagine all the guards are located there.
Yeah.
Can I turn to Malaya and ask her how sneaky she feels?
No, Ragnar, I'm flattered that you think my abilities might be that good, but nowhere near.
I know we lads.
And remember that the guards are made out of the best of the Imperial Army.
Yeah, with looking at the sort of technology they have here, no.
Fair enough.
No.
I think a plan of action here to get some information. We each take off, find taverns on our own, just to make most of our time, and just listen in and just have an idea of the hubbub we're going about, and ask the barkeeps or whatever.
Yeah.
For some rumours and information.
What's everyone's passive perceptions, by the way?
Passive perception is 12.
15.
15.
What governs passive perception, by the way?
It's wisdom.
Yeah, but like specifically, because like it says 12 next, but yet my wisdom's 14.
I don't know.
My passive perception is 14.
14. It'll be your wisdom, so it's your 10 plus your wisdom bonus, which is
Ah,
if it's
yeah,
14
yeah.
is plus 2.
I get you. That makes sense.
My passive wisdom's 15. Yeah, I got a modifier of +3.
Oh, yeah, because
But you have proficiency in your passive perception, I think,
That
Oh
makes
yeah, I
sense.
do.
because you're a ranger. So I think you get.
Yeah.
I think you get it.
That makes sense. Ollie, so I guess that's our plan of action. It depends on what we hear and what we find out.
Okay, so you're going to go rumor gathering.
Rumor gathering and information hunting.
We'll probably have to get quite high on persuasion checks because people will be scared to even muster in names.
Also, before it gets too late, can I pop to a potion shop?
Yeah,
Actually,
you
no,
can
no,
go to
no,
the potion shop.
I
Wait,
don't need
how much gold do we have on our pot again?
I don't know how much gold do you have. In your pot?
Ashley, you were looking after that.
Yeah, I'm just looking. 396.
Oh, okay, yeah, that'll be enough for some potions. But haven't we already got 2 healing potions?
We've got
between
2
us?
healing potions.
Seldisa,
Yeah.
pick a number between
Yeah.
1 and 5.
1.
Fine.
3.
I'm just gonna roll it rather than decide myself. If you don't. 5.
1.
Okay, continue. Oh
I'm
shit!
scared about what that meant.
Oh, you picked 5, didn't you? That's 2. You good? Don't worry about me.
Okay.
Don't worry.
I mean, we got 2 potions each. I was in. I think main characters wise. Is
Those of you watching the stream will see that the DM is smiling.
Oh, dear.
Oh no.
Wait, are there
Don't
5
mind me,
members in your family? Are we choosing who we're saving? No, just kidding.
All right. Well, we're off rumor gathering now, aren't we? So
Yeah, okay. So what you can do for me is, if you're going to do a little bit of rumor gathering, you can roll me a... Roll me let's do an investigation check. Let's do just a straight investigation check for me.
Investigation. +4.
Oh, thank God.
20, 19...
Fucking hell, we're doing alright.
You're doing not doing badly, are you?
And Malaya and... Yep.
Malaya and Hickey Beam. Hickey Beam doesn't fucking find anything because he rolled a 10.
He's not really
Not paying
caring,
attention. Malaya rolled really fucking high actually, so Malaya did quite well with that. She rolled an 18, so out of that she'll find something surely. Let me find. Oh no, I don't want my characters. So who got what? So Ragnar got 19. Saldisa got 20. Vine got 17. Hickeyveen got nothing. And Malaya got, what's her perception? Malaya got a grand total of 22. So Malaya seems to be sort of like, she seems...
Perception was investigation.
Sorry?
I thought it was investigation, not perception.
Oh, yeah, well, it still doesn't matter. It's the same bonus. Yeah. She still
No,
has
it's not,
+4 to both of them.
Perception's wisdom,
I know.
where is it?
She gets a +4 to both of her investigation
I
and her perception.
I get you.
She has a +2 to intelligence and wisdom, so she gets and she has proficiency in both of those skills.
Sorry
so
about
she gets +4. She gets 22. So Malaya seems to be, as you're moving around, she seems to be really adept because she's fairly small. Because she's quite a young girl, she's fairly small. She seems to be quite adept at sort of like blending in. So she can move around. She seems to be able to move around and eavesdrop very, very effectively. Seldisa, you did the best out of everyone else. Ragnar, you probably find out a few bits and pieces. Vine, you don't really find out much. Fine. You find out that they are due to be executed again mid-morning. And it supposedly it's the entire Freewind household.
Well, I I guess I don't get that much information because I'm used to small villages rather than
Yeah,
giant cities.
you're not used to big cities. So big cities are a little bit. Actually, Ragnar, make that with disadvantage because you're also not used to big cities, and this is
That's
a
fair enough.
One sec.
buck up
Should I
massive city.
Should I do disadvantage?
I would
as
do
well?
disadvantage for you as well.
Okay.
Hickabeen won't, and Malaire is adept for other reasons, so.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that one.
Yeah, you're not used to this.
Admittedly,
So
Ragnar's used to. I would say Ragnar's used to his
okay,
alcohols
so
and
it's still
everything. He's used
17.
to being in that environment if he's going to taverns and shit.
Yeah, but you're not used to a huge city. This is a massive city. You are used to small little tiny towns where like everybody knows everyone in that tiny little town.
My home will be about the size of like a corner of one of these places.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
your home would have fit into one block in this city.
Yeah.
So
And
potentially
my
even
village,
one building.
and my village, barely anything.
Your village is not much bigger, barely bigger at all. So to be honest, between the two of you, you don't really come up with much information. You find out, Vine, that it's supposed to be the entire Freewin household, but the specifics of which seem you can't really find out any more information. Seldisa, you do find out a little bit more information. You know that it is supposedly the entire Freewin household. However, your younger sister managed to escape. So your younger sister has not been caught, or has been caught, and they are sparing her from the execution. You're not entirely sure what, because you get a little bit some conflicting information coming across. But whatever's happening, your sister is not going to be executed. It's the rest of your family.
So I presume that he's telling us this. So
I presume that you guys are going to all come back at the end.
Oh yeah, that was the plan. It was divide and conquer.
Where are you going to meet up? Are you going to meet up at one of the taverns?
Yeah.
I'd probably say meet up. Maybe not at a tavern, but somewhere like inconspicuous.
So there's a lot of different places. So currently you are in Glitter Spring, so the Glitter Spring district, which is the main sort of like commercial and industrial district. There's obviously the Moon district, which I think you've all decided you've got no chance of getting into.
Yeah, perhaps just outside of town, like where maybe there's
outside of town is what's known as the Sprawl, and the Sprawl is the slums.
Right.
So this is for all of the low-level factory workers that fuel and miners in the nearby fields. So you could potentially go outside of one of the gates and meet up in the Sprawl somewhere.
I think there would be some very good inconspicuous taverns there that we could go in.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah.
I imagine that they wouldn't want to waste the guards on the poor end of town.
You would know that the Sprawl, Sildisa, is huge. It's enormous.
Yes.
It is a shanty town. Compared to the rest of the city, the Sprawl dwarfs it massively.
Is it like a big giant favela almost?
Effectively, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
It is a massive, massive shanty town.
I say let's meet up at a tavern down there.
Oh well.
I give the barkeep a gold piece to keep quiet.
So you're walking around, you don't really see much. Let me describe the Sprawl to you. Okay, so the Sprawl surrounds the walls of the main city and plays host to thousands upon thousands of factory workers, miners and their families that fuel the industry of the city and its mechanical production. It is little more than a shanty town, with rough wooden hovels held together with nail and board, into which the stench of the smog permeates, no matter how hard you try to chase it away. Groups of children wander aimlessly in tattered rags of clothing, begging for any scraps of food or coin that any passers-by that even look remotely better off than they are can spare them. Though they fast disappear at the slightest glimpse of the patrols of guards, and indeed off in the distance you can even see some of these patrols having caught some of these impoverished children. These kids getting beaten and brutalized and effectively left for dead on the side of the road by these guards. As you're walking through the town, or this section of the sprawl, there's a couple of different signs advertising different places. One of the ones that you can spot is called Giselle's, and it sounds like it's one of the more prominent taverns, or one of the more popular taverns around the place.
Alright. Is there one that's maybe less popular?
Not in this section of the town.
Okay.
Well,
okay, I think it.
If you were to ask and gather information, which I presume you want to do, I'm not going to make you make a check. If you wanted to just flag somebody down, they'd be very skittish and scared about being spoken directly to by somebody that they don't know.
Alright. So they're a lot more likely to keep a distance.
Yeah, they would say that there is another tavern on the the southern section of the sprawl called Lance's. There are obviously loads of other different inns and taverns and stay ports, but not many of them.
I reckon if we go on here and maybe just keep the barkeep happy, they'll leave us alone.
yeah, guess so.
And we can blend into the crowd, hopefully, of bustling patrons.
Did Malaya find anything?
Yes. Now Malaya meets up with you at the gate, and Malaya will say that she has found out some information. Eldisa, I'm afraid it does sound like it's pretty much your entire family, although I did find out your sister had managed to escape. By the sounds of it, she wasn't in the house when they were captured. I'm also sorry to tell you, it seems to have been orchestrated by your brother.
What?
Your brother traited?
It sounds very much like your brother, something your father was doing, your brother didn't take kindly to. He is now effectively been adopted by the Emperor and is no longer a Freewin.
What is my brother up? What's my brother's character like?
He's been loyal to the business in the Empire, which you thought meant your father as well, but
So
obviously now things you don't know.
I suppose you probably want to be the one to put the knife in his throat.
More like slap him across the face with a mech suit. Why? What was my?
I didn't find out any more information. I'm sorry, Seldisa. Sorry to have to bring you the news.
Okay.
I think we all probably need a rest. Whatever happens tomorrow, I think we need to be prepared for it. Because whatever happens is going to be a long day.
What time is it now?
It's now getting to very much sort of late evening.
Shit. We don't have much time at all.
The sun is going down, although it doesn't seem to. The city is in almost perpetual darkness anyway, because of the smog. But it is now starting to get dark. Oops.
Would I know sort of where my sister could have gone? Like,
don't know. What do you think? Do you think that she would have had any hiding spots? I mean, your
any allies?
Townhouse was massive, so she probably had a few hiding spots in Townhouse, or maybe in the park nearby. But that would have been in Moon District.
Yeah.
Maybe in the workshop, but again in Moon District.
Yeah.
Other than that,
any places I know my sister would have hid is basically in the Moon District, which there is no way we're getting in.
You also imagine that she probably wouldn't be anywhere near there either at the moment.
Yeah.
Because it would be too well patrolled.
So this, I have a heavy feeling in my heart that there may not be anything we could do for your family.
Yeah, the odds are too stacked against us.
We have no time.
There's no time to get any contact
Sorry to
we
interrupt
can-
as well. I did also notice something as I was wandering around. There seems to be somebody, or maybe a few somebodies, following us currently.
I look around the tavern.
So nothing in the tavern. As you look around the tavern, make me a perception check very quick, and you can all make me a perception check should you want to.
I grip my warhammer ever so slightly more tightly.
I mean, this could be me being paranoid. I haven't seen him for a while. Seen them, whoever they are, for a while. I just saw a hooded, cloaked figure a couple of times, and it looked like it might have been the same one.
Did you see a weapon?
No, I didn't see it. It was literally just a hooded figure.
How tall, roughly?
Maybe
I-
Celtice's height.
My perception check is
Human, then.
Yeah, you got a nat 20. You don't
Yeah.
see anybody.
Did you get like an idea of the build with a stocky?
The cloak it hid everything.
No, yeah.
They could have been fairly stocky. I didn't see much. I only caught glimpses of them here and there, but I'd caught a couple of glimpses over
You're
a span of
sure?
time.
You're sure it's just there's not just one? There's more.
I don't know, or I only saw glimpses.
What do you-
I thought I saw a couple of them talking to one another at one point, but
Perhaps, maybe.
there's something that might be aware.
Would we be safe sleeping in a tavern tonight?
we
have
should
any
have one
other option?
person. We should have one person keeping guard. We can switch it up.
I'm just worried
With a
that if
sleep cycle.
a fight happens,
I don't want to sleep by myself tonight either.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in sleeping by myself either. I'm worried that they might be assassins, or at least somebody trying to grab me.
how's about this? We
Are you
each
rushing
buy a
there?
room. We each pay for a room. Make it seem like we don't know just yet. But we all camp out in one. I know it'll be quite cramped, or at least maybe a few in one room at a time.
Well, we've been
Just
on
be
a
re-
boat for days, so I mean,
I'm-
it's nothing we're not used to.
Yeah, and we could
just be
have
ready.
everyone keeping guard in shift during the night.
Posting a watch.
I think so.
Then might I suggest we get some food and then make an early night?
I think
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
that would be good.
Okay.
I think we should probably just order the cheapest meal they have.
The cheapest meal that you can get currently in this place is you can get a poor meal. For each of you will cost you a silver. Sorry, that's a poor room will cost you a silver, whereas a poor meal will cost you 6 copper each. And there's little else on offer in this fairly ramshackle little tavern.
I just
It seems
give
to
the
also double as a
barkeep-
brothel as well. I'd like to point out.
Oh,
get-
brothel!
no,
Ragnar, no.
Maybe after we figured out a way to save him.
I don't
If we
need
make
that.
it out alive, that is.
I pass. I don't want to worry about change. I just give the barkeep 2 silver for room and board.
I give him 1 silver and 6 copper.
Yeah, I give him 1 silver and 6 copper.
Mark it all off. I don't
Yep,
really mind.
I
Just
can
mark it
mark
all off, and you have a long night's rest, fitful and worried about what will happen the following day. You all have a long rest. I presume you're all taking it in shifts. Yes.
Yes.
Who's
Yeah.
going on? Who's going on watch first?
I'll go on watch first.
Because I'd like to remind you, you all need 8 hours of sleep, and there are
Yeah,
5 of you currently.
Let's go.
Should I, since because I'm taking a long rest, should I sort of roll for the ricochet? Since because sort of
You can roll for
I
your
can sort
ricochet.
of,
Yeah.
after a long.
Alright. So standing watch for no more than 2 hours. I'll take the first 2-hour watch.
And I'll take the second.
So you'll
Then I'll take
effectively,
third.
if you're all taking 2 hours, if you all need 8 hours of sleep, and each of you are taking a 2-hour watch, that means you would have to rest for 10 hours, and each of you will take a 2-hour watch.
Okay.
Because you all need
So
8 hours of uninterrupted sleep, or 8 hours
Yeah.
of rest.
Yeah.
Will
We
we be
had an
up in
early
time?
night. We had an early night anyway, so I think that should be fine.
What was that, Ashley?
Yeah,
We'll
just
be-
making sure that we are not late for the execution.
I mean,
That seems really morbid when you say that. Make
I'm
sure we're not
sorry.
late for the execution.
Wait, is this going to be an Ezio Auditore sort of scenario? You've basically done a fucking Ezio situation.
I don't know. We'll find out. I did warn you that this campaign wasn't meant to be cuddles and rainbows.
Yeah, so this, I'd recommend that you keep your restraint.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
If need be,
Okay.
you can give me your bow when you're not tempted. Fury. Drive. Powerful actions.
I give Ragnar my longbow.
Oh, okay, so you're disarming yourself and giving your bow to Ragnar.
Well, no. When
I-
on the execution day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll come to that in a second.
Yeah.
So, you all have a long rest. So you each take your watches, and fortunately nothing happens. So nobody comes looking for you, nobody bangs on your door, nobody comes investigating. You do hear people moving around late at night, so whoever takes a watch closer to maybe midnight, you do hear
it's a
some
brothel,
soft
so what do you
footprints.
expect?
Well, you hear the noises of what you expect to be the brothel. You hear noises, blah blah blah. But this really late at night,
Okay.
where everything has started to go quiet, you do hear
Sound
some sort of like no. You do hear some very soft footprints moving around on the wooden boards,
Is
but
that like someone intentionally being?
you can't tell. Just seems like somebody's walking very sort of like. Maybe not necessarily sneaking, because you suspect that if they were sneaking, you probably wouldn't have heard them at all. But they're softly moving along the corridor, and then they move back again, and you hear soft padding footsteps going down the stairs.
Sounds unimportant, but it sounds odd that you would say it in such detail.
No
Damn, it's
metagaming
smiling
though.
at that. Yeah.
Hang on, where's my camera?
Is he smiling? No. I imagine he's smiling right now. I can just tell with his voice, even his silence.
I just had a moment with the camera. So those of you who are watching, yeah. So the next morning, the smoke
my door.
starts glowing brighter with the sort of the grey dusk light that is perpetual across the entirety of the city through the smoke. And you wake up.
It's
So
time,
today's
Doctor.
the day.
Are you feeling alright, my friend?
I'm just trying to deal with it emotionally.
I know, man.
It's
I know.
early morning. It's probably just after dawn, maybe an hour and a half after dawn, maybe. Probably about
Let's just get some.
5, 6.
Let's just get some breakfast.
Just a poor breakfast.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna have a poor meal, then that's another 6 copper.
I'll just chuck another silver because I can't be asked for change.
Okay.
Eat your fill, so this.
Okay, I had my breakfast.
Had your
I think
breakfast?
it's
Okay. So as you go,
yeah. So
as you make your way through the town, starting to get to the time that you have heard that the execution is going to be happening, you can hear crowds gathering. Crowds and crowds of hundreds, thousands of different people, all moving towards. I don't know. All moving towards Hearts Plaza.
Alright, can we try and blend into the crowd?
You can make me a stealth check, all of you.
How many Aarakocras are there? Because
It's all a mix. I mean, it's predominantly human.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But it's a mix. It's a huge mix.
Okay. I was just wondering because I wanted to see. Ah!
I don't think there's a lot of Aarakocras, possibly.
Okay.
Maybe not green ones.
But even then,
Seldisa
is the important one.
I mean, they don't know who I am. I'm just an Aarakocra.
Exactly.
Seldisa is the important one, and Seldisa, you keep yourself hidden, you keep your hood up, you blend into crowds of people with the others following you. The others stick out a little bit more, but I mean, Vine, you're again not used to being in a larger city like this.
Yeah, so I'm just like looking around, confused at everything.
Yeah, you're quite confused by everything. Your bright green feathers as well tend to stand out amidst the colours.
Ragnar probably stinks of blood.
Ragnar, you blend in okay. I mean, it's not fantastic, but okay. There are a few dwarves here and there. Your sort of attire is slightly different to some of the more sort of like standard clothing, business-like clothing in the town. Because you have furs and stuff like that on your dress. Hikivim also stands out a little bit as well because of his particular sort of complexion. Being an Aasimar are fairly rare, so he sticks out again. But again, nobody seems to pay you much attention.
That's good.
Draw myself in, and you head towards Hearts Plaza.
I heard a roll.
You did hear a roll, yeah.
Was that Malaya's stealth check?
No, I've already done my low stealth check.
Oh, wait,
there was other things going on potentially.
The
You
fact
don't
that
know.
you've got a metal dice that we can hear is just fucking daunting.
That wasn't even my
put it-
metal dice. That was my plastic dice. Would you like to hear my metal dice?
Yeah, please.
That was my metal dice. Oh, it's probably because it's attenuating or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's satisfying. You should have like a dice mic.
Fucking sounds. I want a dice camera, really. But then I also don't because I'm a DM. And I want to keep things secret.
I think it's good that it's hidden.
Yes, I want to keep secrets and lies.
I think at least knowing that you're rolling something is intimidating enough.
Yes. So, you approach Hearts Plaza, and there is swarms. There is like a wall of people moving up to this place. Thousands upon thousands of people.
Are they cheering?
It seems to be sort of a mixture of emotions. It seems to be some of them are somber, some of them are sort of like riled up, ready to watch this grand spectacle of an execution. As a member in these sorts of areas, like executions would have been grand spectacles. So it seems to be a little bit of a mix, but there is a tension. There is a mountable. You could literally cut it out of the air tension that you can feel from this crowd. And as you move into Hearts Plaza, there is a sight to behold. I think we're going to take a break.
Dick.
Oh, okay.
You are the master of cliffhangers.
Oh yeah, I know I am, but it's 20 past and it's a really good point to take a break. I'm too good at this. I love it. Brilliant. I can literally hear your hearts going at about 1,000,000 miles an hour. It's perfect.
I'm just feeling for Saldissa right now because
I can literally feel the adrenaline pumping. I can feel it through Discord.
This just reminds me of Assassin's Creed 2, like immediately. Just the opening.
I think we will have a 5-minute break there, so I suggest that we go and have a glass of water, maybe a cup of tea, a bite to eat. So if we come back at 25 past...
And probably a shot of alcohol for Ashley to get through this.
Probably some whiskey, yeah. Alright, if we
Yeah.
come at 25 past, yeah?
I don't drink.
Well, I might start.
You after this.
Okay, so we will be back in 5 minutes, guys. So go grab a cup of tea or whatever, and we'll see you in a second for the execution.
Alright, bye.
that, and we
Talking
are
shit about me.
back.
I heard that.
Okay, so welcome back, those of you that are viewing. So we've had another epic cliffhanger, which this time I did on purpose, as opposed to last session, which I did completely by accident. As you entered at the plaza and saw a different sight. This is seriously a sight to behold for those of you that have never been to a city before. There are more people than you could have even imagined existed packed into this plaza. Thousands of people, all tightly packed together. There's barely room to breathe in this place. And all of them stood staring across at this raised wooden stage. Now, yesterday you saw a heavy armament of guards, Magitech, everything involved. Today, it has doubled in strength.
Oh shit! I just noticed mod view on your channel.
Yeah, you're moderators on this now.
Oh no, there's a new thing called mod view. That's interesting.
Yeah, there is.
Sorry.
So it has doubled in force, and instead of there being the one sort of like mech suit at the back, which is still there. This huge 12, 13 feet tall mechanized sort of like tank. There are also now two slightly smaller ones stood on the stage. And they are completely encased. They look like large humanoids. They're 2 legs, 2 arms, but there's no head. It's all just contained in one great big bulbous sort of like body, torso style thing that comes up to where a head would be. It's all rounded, smooth metal with the Emperor's crest emblazoned on it, with these channeling sort of like tubes of lightning energy moving around and like transferring energy around. And these are quite clearly magical, so in odds to the anti-magic field that you suspect is in place, all of this Magitech equipment seems to be working almost as though it has an exemption to this field in some way. How, you don't know. But there are now twice as many guards patrolling through around. There's guards on rooftops around the plaza, all aiming down with these weird weapons that you've never seen before. Even Seldisa probably hasn't seen these ones before. They're very long. They look like very long sticks of metal. That are completely alien to all of you. There are the automated automatons with their long scissor-like arms made of steel and brass. There are standard guards. There's the exosuited guards. They're like twice as much as you saw yesterday. And on the stage,
Suicide to do something. Yeah.
there are now 2 thrones that have been placed there. Sat at one of them is a beautiful, elegant-looking young lady. She's wearing blood red robes. She's sort of voluptuous, long, flowing black hair. She looks absolutely stunning. But you can see down one of her arms tattoos. This is not Seldisa's sister. You recognise this, definitely not Seldisa's sister, because she's probably looks to be maybe 30s-ish, late 20s, early 30s.
That is most likely.
I don't think I've given her a name yet, but you would know this as the Emperor's wife. And down one of her arms are purple tattoos of runic markings. You can clearly see that these are arcane runes. You can make me an Arcana check.
Okay.
Anyone who wants to make an Arcana check to try and figure out what they might be.
That's 20!
That feels a bit out of my my expertise as right now, really. Arcanic
Fine.
runes.
I'll do one for Hickey V because I think Malaya would probably be a bit nonplussed as well. Now 2023, Hickey V hasn't seen anything like this before. But Sildisa and Vine, Sildisa, you probably know this information more from knowing about the royal family themselves. This is quite clearly Nox's wife, and she is a renowned necromancer. Vine, you know that these are necromantic runes. These are designed to channel necromantic energy. And whilst they are purple, you suspect they are actually tattooed using blood of some sort of creature. And sat at the other throne, wearing a well-fitted deep blue with red markings across it and black with gold and gilded trim to it, a pauldron on his right-hand shoulder, sort of tousled blue, sorry, not blue, tousled brown, dark brown hair, sits Nox, Emperor Nox, wearing a circlet on his head, identifying him as the Emperor of the realm. Sat next to him, leaning up against the side of his throne, is a scepter, made of gold with a spiral at the top and two obsidian black, difficult to describe, they almost look a little bit like claws. Or tentacles, something along those lines, like curved spines with thorns coming off of them that interlink. I will send you a picture of this a little bit later so you can see what Emperor Nox looks a little bit like. He is sat at this throne, lounging comfortably with a glass of wine in hand, looking interested in what is about to happen. On the stage below them, two figures, bound at the hands with their heads resting over blocks, baskets beneath them. One with long hair, tied up into a bun at the back, light brown. Eldisa, you would recognise this as your mother, Laura Freeman. Tattered rags, looking beaten, bruised. Your father next to her. Did you draw Killian as bald, by the way?
Let
Doesn't have
me
hair in the
just have a
picture,
little
just has a hat.
Yeah, I didn't sort of do hair when I was doing the drawing, sort of wet, like.
Well, we'll go with it. We'll
just
say
have a
he's bald
look.
then.
Yeah.
Well, let's
bald.
say he cut his hair off.
Bald head.
Sorry.
Again, in the same sort of tattered rag garbs as your mother is Killian. Beaten, bruised to a greater extent than your mother was.
Guess that's them then.
Stood behind Nox's throne in a fairly business-like looking coat, fur shoulders, hat on his head, very thick black hair beard, stands your brother, Declan, who seems to be looking down, and you can see somewhat contempt in his face looking at your father and mother.
That is my brother.
Why has he got? What's got to be in his bonnet?
I have no clue.
As you're gathering, the crowds are amassing, and eventually there is a figure that walks up to the main stage, and this you recognise as one of the Emperor's aides, one of the sort of the master of ceremonies, as it were. You've never quite managed to catch their name, but you have seen them at various ceremonies before. Excuse me. He walks up to the pedestal, at the front of the stage. A scroll in hand, unravels it, and begins to read, and a silence falls over the crowd that was talking and sort of like jostling before. Of the crimes of conspiring for treason against the Empire, House Freewin is sentenced to death. Bear witness to the death of traitors. Long live Emperor Nox. Stands back, walks to the side of the stage. There's two black hooded.
This music's way too happy right now.
Sorry?
This music's way too happy.
Is it? Hang on.
We need something more ominous.
I do need something more
Wait.
ominous. Didn't realise I was playing something ominous. Let's put this on instead.
What kind of build is the Emperor? Like, is he sort of like healthy for his age, or is he sort
He's
of
healthy.
like...
He's young, and he's healthy.
Oh, okay. Damn, he's young. Okay,
He's fairly young. He's younger than his wife.
Okay. That ruins one of my plans.
Or he looks younger than his wife. But you don't think that should be possible? He looks abnormally young, quite baby-faced for his age, because he should be at the moment in his 40s, 50s. He looks fairly young.
Necromantic wife.
And he certainly looks built. He's fairly well built. You would know that he is a mage of some excessive renown.
Okay. Damn.
But he's actually fairly well built. He's very athletically built.
Okay, so I whisper in both like Seldisa and Ragnar's ears. I have an idea for distraction, but it might result in my death if it goes badly. Okay.
Don't bother.
As you're
just
talking, you see these black hooded or masked figures carrying heavy, powerful axes, stained in blood, up the stage.
It's no use fighting. Unfortunately, they're dead meat. They're
dragging along. Your mother and father look almost sort of like semi-conscious. They barely seem to be awake at this point.
This would be a mercy to them.
You hear, or you see them leveling the axes, and you see Nox raise his hand and drop it. Axes swing. The crowd is silent.
Sadisa, you okay?
Seldisa,
Yes?
you feel, just at your side, just the smallest touch. Very light. It's almost as you almost miss it, to be honest, but you feel somebody like brush up against you as they move past.
I turn my head towards them.
Nobody there.
What are you looking at, Sadisa?
I'm not sure.
And the crowd has now started to sort of come into an uproar again. There's screaming, shouting, cheering. There's a cacophony of noise now that the execution is sort of over and they've seen the axes drop.
What are we going to do with the bodies?
The bodies are taken away, so they're dragged off by some of the guards. Nox is sat smiling with his glass of wine in hand, taking a long swig, and then eventually stands up, takes offers his arm to his wife, who takes it, and they walk off happily talking to each other back up to the citadel. Your brother, Declan Freewin, following behind.
Are you okay, my friend?
Accompanied by these two suits of armor.
I turn to make my leave from the plaza.
Roll me. Actually, no, I don't think you need to. Your pocket feels heavy. Heavier than it was before. On the side that you felt that whoever it was brush up against you.
I sort of pull out my pocket and sort of like hide it with my hands and have a look at it.
There's a letter. Scrolled up, it's on a small scrap of paper and rolled up tightly, but there is a small letter, a small note.
What does it say?
Unravelling it, it says very simply.
Are you
The
reading this to
sprawl.
us?
Are you reading it to them?
No, I'm not reading it to anyone.
No.
I'm just keeping it to myself.
Okay. It says the sprawl, South Bank, where the tower meets the water.
I start making my way to that spot.
So, Lisa, where are you off? Where are you going?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, but I would like you to come with me.
Ollie,
Well, if
are you? Do you
Whatever we can do, Saldisa.
yeah. I'd like to give you a. Can I give you a hug, my friend? You
You
look like you
can.
need one.
I need to do something for Malaya.
Hug Saldissa with mighty force.
That was a perfect noise. I love that.
It's okay, my friend. Saldissa takes 1 point of damage.
Yeah, you potentially feel like maybe one of your ribs have maybe cracked from this.
I sorry, my friend.
I think you just used reckless hug.
Can I take 1 point of damage?
This is taking a little bit away from the fact that Saldis's parents have just been executed.
Yeah.
They were literally 2 seconds ago. Their bodies on a stage, blood spewing out of a disembodied head.
Yeah, I guess we should go. Right.
I know.
Well, I guess we should.
hang on, I need to-
I'm trying to give him a hug.
There's something about Malaya that I need to do here, but I can't find where it is, so I need to go into a character sheet. So as you're headed there, I will find that.
Before we do that, Saldissa, do you feel like you can hold your breath without anger? I can hand it back to you now.
Yeah, I think so. Neither the Emperor or my brother is within my line of sight.
Right. It shows true strength to show restraint. That's one characteristic I cannot show.
Dungeon Master's Guide. Madness.
I hand him back his bow.
Okay. So you head down to where are you headed to? Show me on the map.
It's all the south side bank near the tower.
Where your pin is.
Yeah, sort of around there, where that letter was.
So you head down there, and wait. But first, just seems to be no one there. It's where the tower meets the mucky, grimy water of the Glitter Spring River. But after a little bit of time, you start to notice that somebody's watching you. There's a couple of figures over the way, just off to the side, down a little bit of a staircase leading towards the water, that are hooded.
Are we all seeing this, or is it just Saldissa?
You can all see this.
Oi! Quick, Gorkin!
As soon as you shout, you feel a prick in your neck. You all, and you don't make saves against this, are unconscious. The world just fades around you. Don't know how
So
much
as
time
soon
has
as I shout,
passed.
just before I shout.
This is just after you shout. But well, as you're shouting. And you don't know how much time has passed, but you wake up, your head is throbbing, it's painful, you feel groggy, uneasy,
Audubon.
almost as though you're like horrifically hungover.
Audubon. Why?
I
think-
haven't felt this bad since that party years ago.
Since when do you drink so this? Wait, are we all in the same place?
You are.
Ragnar hasn't felt this bad since like I don't know, like
I
2 hours ago. No, no.
Are we bound? Are we free?
You're not bound.
Where are we?
Looking around, you are quite clearly somewhere underground, and this place, it smells fucking horrible. It smells like open sewage.
Buddy.
It stinks. Properly stinks.
It feels like home for me.
And you can hear water, but you are in a dark room. That's it. That's all you can see. The dark room made of stone. There's sound of dripping water. The sound of rushing water coming from outside, but there's probably a drip, drip, drip.
Can someone provide some light, please?
Kiavim, do your fancy thing on me.
Of
The little
course.
light.
Of course, give me a moment. And Hikivim can cast light. He'll cast pink light on Ragnar's Warhammer. And it's a small room. We are doing this Theatre of the Mind because I don't have maps for it yet. I will do
fine.
those at some point. But they're not particularly necessary for the moment. You wake up to find that you are in a room. It's maybe 20 foot by 20 foot and about 10 foot high. It's the walls are stone, but they're coated in moss, lichen, slime, etc., etc. There is a door. But apart from that, it just seems to be. It's almost like you're in a storeroom. That's what it looks like.
So, does the door have a sort of like barred window, like
No.
near the top
It's
of
just
it?
it's just a wooden door.
Ollie,
Okay, then,
I know what to do here. Ragnar, kick!
Oh, God damn it!
Ragnar,
Door open outwards.
roll me
Yes.
a dexterity saving throw, please.
Is this something I can effect I can see?
No.
So
What?
disadvantage.
So I can't see us. No, it's just no
Can't see
advantage.
this. Just no advantage to it. Is that a 6?
That's
Is that a 6?
That's a 6.
Yeah.
I'm not wasting my inspiration on that.
Oh my fucking god! That's
I instantly die.
amazing. As you go to kick this door, it swings open outwards, and you get the briefest glimpse that you are underground in what looks like a sewer. As you go to kick the door, you fly through it. The person haven't opened it outwards. Now, where there was a door, there isn't a door. You slip on a patch of slime, go sliding 10 feet into the water.
Did you plan that, Owen?
No, I didn't. But it could not have turned out better.
Oh god, this isn't going to be like turmoil in that fucking sludge water again, is it?
It is open and disgusting sewage.
Sorry for my compatriot's eagerness.
And you can see.
I'm all it!
You can see that the person who's opened the door is clad in black leather. They are wearing a cloak. You can't quite tell if they're male or female. The leather seems to be hiding this. They are wearing a cowl or it's like a hood with a mask pulled up to, so you can basically only see their eyes, and their eyes are a deep brown, but that's about all that you can see of this person. And they gesture at you to follow out before reaching down to pull Ragnar out of the water.
Thank you.
And they pull you out. They're actually surprisingly strong.
Fucking hell.
They seem relatively strong. They're doing quite a lot of help at pulling you out of this water. They don't seem to be built like heavy set built, but they seem to be a little bit more nimble. But they are fairly strong. They don't answer you. They just gesture for you to follow them and begin making their way down the path.
Listen, laddie, I need some explanation. You pricked me in my fucking neck and you took me to a sucking sex dungeon.
All he does.
At least you could.
All they do, I shouldn't say he, because you can't tell if they're male or female. All they do is just gesture to follow.
Fine, but no kinky shit.
Let's just
be quiet.
let's just follow along.
I'm scared. I'm not scared.
So you've got all of your armor, you've got all of your weapons, you've got nothing is missing.
Laddie.
Just this
Listen.
person has arrived, opened the door. Doesn't even look like the door was locked, for that matter, as well. And they just gesture for you to follow.
Okay, I'll follow you. Well, I've got my eye on you.
So you walk down this path alongside the sewers, and trudging through sort of like patches of mud and muck and slime, etc., etc. It takes you maybe sort of a 5-minute walk. As you head down and you see lights. Lights are starting to pop up. Stop putting shit on the thing. They're starting to pop up. You can see little like lanterns and stuff like that starting to glow in this section of sewer. And there's sort of a few doors dotted around across the walls. This black leather-clad figure leads you to one of these doors, opens it, and gestures you inside.
Let's head inside.
Inside you see a long wooden table, very large, sturdy-looking table with 8 chairs around it. It's across one side is a collection of like short swords and daggers. There's a handful of them on there. There is a candle on the table, and the rest of it is maps of the surrounding area or around Abermay and of the city itself.
What is this?
With some markings on it. Poring over these maps, you see another figure. This time you can make out what they look like. They are wearing dark robes, they're wearing dark clothing with armour underneath, but apart from that they've got their hoods taken down, their faces in full view. And you see a lady. This lady's face is grizzled and scarred. It's twisted and warped by what looks like years and years of fighting. There's a nasty looking scar that looks like almost like the dragging of claws going down the right hand side of her face. And one of her eyes is white. She speaks to you with a fairly gruff voice. And she will... before she does, she walks up to Seldisa, places a hand on his shoulder before offering her hand. I am truly sorry, Seldisa.
Thank you.
Who the bloody hell are you?
I appreciate, Ragnar, that you are probably all a little bit...
How do you know my name?
nonplussed, because that is my job. Let me explain. Please, sit. My companion will go get you some drinks. We don't have
Drinks?
much.
Oh, I'm happy.
We have maybe ale, water, very little else, I'm afraid. We don't have much.
It's alright, I can just drop a bit of my absinthe into some ale. That sounds
You
lovely.
do still have absinthe, actually. You do have a bottle of absinthe, don't you? I forgot you bought that.
Yeah. I've got like 2 charges, 2 nights worth of it.
I think you do, yeah.
Yeah.
My name is Fiona. Fiona Avalon. And so, Aldisa, I was a very good friend of your father's. We grew up together before he even became known, before he even had his apprenticeship. He was a friend.
Back in the days with
Sorry?
back in the days where the family name was Silent Snow, I guess.
Yes. I am potentially one of the very few people that knows that your father had that name. That are left alive in the world of Inveria.
Ah, so that's your real name? For even?
It is the old family name. When our family was uplifted into nobility, we were given the name Freewin.
The
Oh.
title bestowed upon them by the Emperor.
I don't understand the story. All I know, my last name is Broadbeard, because my family was Broadbeard.
Yes, we know all
Cool.
about you, Ragnar.
What?
As well as you, Vine, and Hickeyvu. We know everything that
Malaya?
we need to know about you. Malaya as well. Found the information that we need, because that is what we do. We... Sadly to say, we are the reason that your family is dead. Or at least most
Why?
of your family. We
It's Slovenia,
are
that's what they say.
a group. We are a group that are opposed to the tyranny of the Emperor. We want to see him dethroned, thrown out of this city, out of this kingdom. Potentially after yesterday, with his own head on a spike, on a stage in Hearts Plaza. Trust me
Yeah,
when I say I want that about as much as you do right now, Saldisa.
Yes. If I had my hands on the Emperor, he would definitely not be suffering a pleasant fate.
I'll lend you my Warhammer if you wanted it.
A little while
Thanks,
ago,
right.
I approached your father. We have been working underground in the city, doing what we can to support its people, who are in dire need of that support, as I'm sure you've seen. They're kept in their
Yes.
place through fear. Frankly, I understand why, because even we have no power at all to even start thinking about doing anything about the Emperor. Nothing at all.
Yeah, we'd first have to get past the Royal Guard, and that is just, I was in fact thinking about interrupting the execution, but the moment I saw the guard detail before today, I thought there is no possible way that we could win any kind of battle conventionally.
I'm glad that you came to that decision. In fact, we were positioned with you in the plaza, ready to prevent you from doing that, in fact. From doing anything rash that would have gotten yourselves killed.
I actually gave Ragnar my bow just to remove the temptation of shooting either the Emperor or my brother.
So I saw. And Declan is another matter that we will have to discuss another time. But for the moment, all that we can really tell you is I approached your father some time ago, about maybe 2-3 weeks ago, asking for help. Came to him with information about what was going on in the Empire, about how the people in the Empire were being treated at the hands of the Emperor, and frankly he was shocked. Information that I'm sure that you have not seen firsthand up until recently, and have not necessarily been, you have been naive to for want of a better word, Saldisa. You and your family have been closed off from these sorts of existences.
I would imagine that a member of the nobility who did know about this would try to keep our family in the dark because, well, we could, if we had the capacity, we would have potentially used the mech suits against the Empire.
I imagine so.
I have a question.
By all means,
So-
Master Okrokra.
It's more for a quest. So, you're gatherers of information, right?
Partially. We are also here to assist people in need, primarily. We sort of like nurse those who have been brutalized by the guard in the city back to health in however we can, whenever we can. We give shelter to some people. We have even had some small work on getting certain people out of the city in some occasions.
Okay.
Does that involve my sister?
Your sister is a matter I will come to shortly, but otherwise I'm sure you have other questions.
What information do you have about the Emperor, specifically his aging?
His aging does seem to be slowed. It seems to be at a reduced rate. For all intents and purposes, he should be much older in looks than he is currently, but that would likely be a question for an Axon as opposed to myself, one of my associates.
Because I believe that his necromancer wife could be possibly sacrificing people to keep the Emperor young, but that's only a theory.
That might well be a possibility, one that we have thought of,
Another,
but have no proof.
I might have another theory why the Emperor is young. Have you noticed around the entire? Both of us have noticed the Imperial symbol, and Vane. You said that it was a symbol of one of the god. Vane. You said it was a symbol of a god, wasn't it?
Well, it's not a symbol of a god that I know, but it's definitely ancient.
We
So
have
maybe it
also identified this, and again, that is probably a question to ask an Axon over anything else, and I will introduce you to him shortly. But you have my sincerest condolences, and I am deeply sorry for the part that we have caused. Your father pledged his support to our cause, saying that he would do anything that he could in his power to assist whatever way he could. Sadly, he made the mistake of trusting Declan.
Yeah, when I get my hands on my brother, he's not going to come away from it without deeply remembering his betrayal.
I doubt you let him get away.
Declan is very much blinded by greed. He's grown comfortable, very much so, in the position that your family has very much earned.
I have a question, or rather,
By all means, Ragnar.
Line of questioning. How do you know so much about us, me particularly?
We have had tabs on
Bible
you
wars.
since you left Riffigaber. We know everything that we need to know about all of you. We were pleased.
Even Oriban?
Why are you going on about Oruben?
I'm waiting for a bit of a link.
We know that you have had certain escapades here and there.
Escapades, yeah.
And this is why your father sent that message out. We had a suspicion that it was you and that you were alive.
It's what I thought. We had an incident on the way to the sort of village of Ibra, I think it was.
Ibra,
Ibra.
Yes, your caravan was assaulted.
I guess we can't say that we died because. Yeah, we died.
Their expressions go blank.
God damn it, Ragnar.
I thought it would. I do love seeing that.
I have been thinking something. What if we attempt to try and use it offensively? Freeze the enemy, then strike?
Ooh! Oh no, it must be. Wait, that is a good question. When you're saying they like.
So they seem to be aware of their surroundings. It's just just that it's almost like any mention of the creator and the fact that you were resurrected is not computing in their minds. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I know. I'm still going to say it though, because Ragnar likes seeing this happen.
They're still. I mean, Fiona is kind of like. She still keeps talking. It's just her expression goes slightly blanker.
Yeah.
We have heard the caravan, that your caravan to Ibra was attacked by what we are still not entirely sure. Some sort of creature that appears to have fled back over the wall.
I actually have a theory on what could have been the creatures from the corruption.
That's what we suspect as well. We did see that or from sources that we have gathered from those that were involved in the repelling of those creatures, they did cross back over to the corrupted side of the wall. So I would agree that is probably the most logical assumption.
Creatures of corruption.
But I do have a frightening theory about their life cycle. They might be parasitic.
Really?
You know how like I've been out and about, and sometimes I see these sort of cocoons. Like you'd expect like a butterfly to come out of them, but instead a wasp comes out.
Wait, have we been talking? Wait, do I know this? Or is this something Sildisa knows?
This is Sildisa. I think this is something that Sildisa has pieced together.
Right, fair enough.
Like, remember when we were there, we noticed a lot of the corpses had holes through their chests, like something had bursted out. Much like how a wasp would break out of the butterfly's cocoon.
That's really poetic.
It's an interesting and terrifying thought. If they are feeding off bodies, because we found those very much the corpses that you're describing.
Oh, quick OOC question.
Yes.
Xenomorphs.
Yes.
They share the DNA of what they come out of.
Xenomorphs do, yes.
So a dwarven xenomorph could exist, such as a Aarakocra xenomorph could be.
If a xenomorph attacks you, yes.
It's probably not going to be too much like a xenomorph. Or it could.
Shares some similarities to a xenomorph.
Oh, so it's not quite a xenomorph.
We don't know.
We are not going to get sued by.
Don't know. No, these are legally distinct creatures. These are legally distinct creatures.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, I'm back in character now. I just thought that thought just popped in my head. That'd be really cool to see like different types.
Maybe not. Don't know. I know that you must be overwhelmed at the moment, Sildisa, and your companion's very much the same. I mean, was it Malaya? And Malaya she sat there stunned. She's effectively not talking. Remember how she was when you first met her?
Mm.
Her face has gone pale.
You're right there, wee lass.
She's almost like staring off into the distance.
Put my hand on her shoulder.
I suspect that whatever she saw yesterday is probably bringing up past memories.
Yesterday.
Oh.
We've been out for a whole day.
Yeah, so you have my apologies for that. There's very little that we could do in terms of getting you there unnoticed. We had to drug you in order to get you here.
If you just explained yourself, I would have been happy to come along.
With the guards out in force around the city, which they ordinarily are after a grand spectacle like that, we did not have the time. Sadly,
Ollie.
time was not a luxury for us. We needed stealth and speed.
I
So my
appreciate.
apologies.
I appreciate the apology.
It's understandable.
Yeah, it was particularly potent concoction that Shadow created and uses themselves.
I mean, it would have to be quite potent to bring down Ragnar in one shot.
Yeah, it's in fact Ragnar's was a special case, dwarven resistances being what they are. So we had to have increase the potency on Ragnar's.
I must ask, did you actually put a bit of absinthe in? Because I feel like a fucking absinthe headache right now.
It has a very similar effect.
Do you know where my sister is?
Yes, she is safe. She's here. And I think it's about time that I introduce you to the rest of my compatriots, my associates.
Oh,
My friends.
friend time!
Yes. But
Can I add you
before-
on Goblin
Ragnar.
Book?
No. Stop. Just stop. This is meant to be a serious point.
Sorry.
Stop bringing the tone down.
I'm sorry.
Fucking idiot. I'm gonna... Izzy, if you're listening, go and slap him. I'm just waiting to hear the slap coming in the background. Before I introduce you to the rest of my friends, Diso, I have a letter. It's a letter from your father. For you, in fact. He gave it to my safekeeping and said if you ever return to the city to keep you safe.
Can I ever read the letter?
Of course you can. The letter, I don't have the specific information for you because I haven't had a chance to write it. I will write it and send it to you. It basically says that your father is imploring you to assist Fiona in any way that you can in the name of your house. It also contains a small message saying, I have left you some monetary funds in a bank in the Moon District under the name of Callous Silent Snow.
How the fuck are we gonna get there?
Also, in the letter, because it's like a heavy-set, almost not quite letter, parcel, there is a ring. And this ring is a ring of alter self.
Oh!
Included. And the letter tells you that the ring of alter self that is included in this letter is specifically tied to give you the appearance of the person who opened the account in the district. There is also papers and permits to get into Moon District under the name of Callous Silent Snow, and a writ for the account.
Do we know how long the alter self lasts for?
The alter self lasts for as long as you want. So if you have a look, Seldisa, at the item on D&D Beyond, it should be a ring of alter self.
I think it's probably a one-use item.
No, it's actually not.
Oh!
Magic equipment. Okay, I'm just loading it. Up.
Ring of alter self, I think.
Oh,
So now
no,
we know now
the
we
ring
know
of ultra
how
appearance.
Seldita can get in. We also know how I can get in. Well,
Wait,
I know
really?
how I can get in. I can turn into a cat and just kind of, yeah.
I searched for Ring of A and I didn't find Alter Self.
Oh, okay. Maybe it isn't on D&D Beyond. Maybe we don't have access to that then. If you Google Ring of Alter Self, it'll tell you.
Yeah.
Okay,
I guess I could dress up like a wolf.
Ring of Alter Self. An attuned wearer's body gradually changes to an altered version of their body. If the wearer removes their ring, their body will return to its original state. After 30 consecutive days of wearing the ring, the attuned wearer's body permanently becomes the altered version.
That's the one.
Oh shit! So you could permanently become someone else.
In theory, or you can just take the ring off and become Seldisa again.
Yeah.
But that's it, and it's Alter Self, so it physically changes your body. So you actually physically look and feel like the person that is tied to the ring. And there is an appearance tied into the ring, but you can change that.
Would you get different stats?
No, same stats. It's exactly the same. You're just changing the appearance of your body.
This is like an extremely useful item.
It does require attunement, so you have to spend some time attuning to the item, and you can only have 3 items attuned at once.
Okay.
What's it
So
like an hour to spend?
So I created a custom item of Ring of Alter Self.
Yeah, what I will do is I'll go through, because apparently it's not on D&D Beyond, which I don't know why, because it should be, but I will make a custom item for you that has all of the abilities input onto it, blah, 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 blah. I'll make it work, basically.
Yeah, I just made a temporary one.
Yeah, that's fine.
How long does it take to be attuned to an item?
It takes about an hour. It's effectively a short rest to get attuned to it. But that's your letter. That's what it says. I will give you the finer points, the actual specific bits and pieces to it later, when I've written the letter out. But it effectively says, please lend your assistance to this resistance movement.
Viva la Revolution!
Led by Fiona. Shut up, Squishy. Shush, stop it before I mute you. Lend your aid as much as possible to Fiona. She is indeed an old friend of his from when they were young. Please help them. He has some monetary funds for you to assist them and yourselves in terms of funding your group. In this bank, under this account, under this name, this is a ring. This will make you look different, so you can get in.
4 million platinum. 4 million platinum. 4 million platinum.
You wish. But after that, you've had a quick read through this, had the ring out, etc., etc. You're not attuned to it yet, so you can't use it. So you'd have to spend a little bit of time. Fiona will effectively give you the tour. So you're in a section of the sewer. It's not a particularly big section of the sewer. There's about a 10-foot wide platform on either side, and there's maybe a 15-20-foot wide section of just sewage flowing through. There's a very rickety old wooden bridge with chain rails across the sides, either side of it, on going across from one side to the other. That looks fairly sort of like... It looks like it should have been temporary, but ended up not being temporary and is now permanent. There is the door that you've just came out of, and you were followed by, or you were led by Fiona and this figure in the black leather armour, who Fiona will introduce to you as Shadow. Shadow is one of my oldest friends and most trusted allies. They act effectively as our spy and in certain circumstances assassin for us. As much as I grit my teeth at the necessity of it, sometimes we do need it. So Shadow works in that respect for us. Very adept at sneaking, very adept at poisons. She does not, or they, not she, they do not speak. Do not ask me why. I have never found out, but I have never heard them speak. I do not even know if they are male or female, for that matter.
strongly disapprove of assassination.
Yeah. Ragnar, trust me, I do as well. If there was,
But I understand the necessity.
I at all costs try to avoid the necessity, but sadly sometimes there is. But thankfully, we have not had very many opportunities where it has been necessary. So Shadow does most of our intelligence gathering, finding the information. In fact, it was one of Shadow's apprentices that actually has been keeping tabs on you since you left Riffigaber.
Then you wouldn't be the apprentice. We met you in a Liffey Gamer.
Vine, no.
Here's a secret's out. Vine is a
Vine is the spy.
Vine is
James
spy.
Bond. It's James Bond.
Oh god.
License to
dear.
magic.
Yeah, license to
License
magic.
to break a leg.
License to wild shape. She leads you down the current side of the sewer that you are on to another door, and this door leads into a much larger room. And across the floor, there's sort of hastily put up beds, mattresses. Excuse me. They are mostly empty, but there are a couple of people, and it seems to be very much a put together quickly infirmary to some respects. So it's an infirmary in some respects. There is a couple of people here looking like they are recovering very badly, very bruised and bloodied, with sort of like some smattering of bandages that have been applied to them. There is a halfling, a young halfling woman in the infirmary. And this Fiona will introduce her as, this is Blossom. Blossom she runs one of the sick houses above ground, but she also, for those people that need the secrecy, brings people here to treat them when she can.
Good to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you too. I'm so. You have my sincerest condolences, Southeaster. We've heard very much about you from Fiona and your sister.
Thank you.
I'm sure you're very eager to meet her, or to see her,
Yes.
I should say. I presume that would likely be your next stop. Fiona's
Hopefully.
nodding. We are going there now. Miala is in her workshop currently, or what has now become her workshop, I should say. She has very much taken over the place. So bidding farewell to Blossom in her little infirmary, leaving her to deal with the two little... And Malaya will actually stay with Blossom. She will, still silently staring off into the distance, very quietly say, "Can I help?" And Blossom will take one look at her and say, "Yes, dearie, you can definitely help. I think you probably need it right now. Come, let me show you where we store all of the healing kit."
Before she heads off, I place a hand on her shoulder. We're here if you need you. You know, like we lass.
Malaya just nods. Very solemnly just nods. So you move on, cross the bridge, and this bridge is fucked. It is rickety. They creak and crack as you walk over it.
Jump on it.
Do you want to jump on it?
I want to jump.
You can jump on it if you want to. It's
Can
sturdy
I
enough that it
fly
takes you.
Wait. Can I fly over the bridge to be safe?
It's sturdy enough that it does hold. But
Okay.
Fiona says, please don't break that. I don't believe Shadow would appreciate putting you out of the water again. You already need a wash, Master Dwarf.
I've been needing a wash for many days. Many months.
Don't need to know. I don't care. Let's keep moving.
Filthy!
Not surprised. So she takes you off. There seems to be like a small, almost like store area for some small bits and pieces cut into the wall. It's just open, and there's a grate in the floor. But to the right, to your left of that now is I'm doing this all from memory. Is a door. It's an iron slatted door that Fiona opens and walks into a very small corridor. It's a 5-foot wide corridor, so you have to go down this single file, because otherwise it'd be fairly too cramped. And that leads you into another room. And this room is much warmer than the others. The smell in here is a little bit lessened because it's mostly taken up by the smell of fire and sort of heating metal. There is the forge at the bottom. There's loads of workshop spaces. Some of them look arcane. Some of them look more sort of like mechanical, technological based. And there are two figures in here. There are two people in here. The first, Seldisa, you recognise as your little sister. And as soon as she turns around and sees you, she screams in happiness and runs over to you and basically dives into your arms.
It's good to see you managed
Devolves into tears. She is now a puddle in your arms.
It's good to see you alive.
The other figure is an interesting sight. At first glance, you think it's a skeleton that is sat in a chair in the corner. But looking a little bit closer, you see that it is a very skeletal-looking man. It is a man. There is skin across bones, but it is so thinly stretched across bones and so pale that he does look, that at a glance, he does look like a skeleton. His face is gaunt and sunken. His eyes are sort of really deeply sunken into his skull. But he seems to move with some strength and grace of a normal person.
What the fuck are you?
He will walk up and actually start shaking hands. And he introduces himself. Hello. My name is Naxon. I have been taking care of Mayala since her father gave her to our protection. She has been a wondrous learning experience for both of us, I presume. We have very much developed our own knowledges. I understand exactly what you are all thinking of me currently. My appearance. I am what's known as an Archlich. I am, in some sense of the word, immortal. I stored my soul into a vessel known as a phylactery. Technically, I am undead, but not undead in a traditional sense of inherently evil and malevolent, like many people who take lichdom.
How old are you?
I have lived hundreds and hundreds of years, Master Dwarf. I saw the impact, I witnessed it, and I have lived many years before that. I saw this empire rise from the rubble.
I've heard many stories about liches, but I never expected to actually see one. Let
Speaking
alone...
of stories, do you have one?
I am sure I have hundreds of stories for you.
Well,
I
those can
suspect
wait.
that now is not the time.
Ollie,
Maybe another day.
Ollie,
Wait, I've been told that I can talk to you about the Emperor and his seemingly unaging body.
Meanwhile, my character is just embracing.
I kind of thought assumed that Seldisa and Mayala were kind of just like devolved into a puddle of cuddles and tears off in a corner.
that sounds...
Well, I'm questioning this lich about.
Arklish.
I'm probably realising how smelly I am.
Yeah, you fucking stink. Like, blood stink.
But I still eat my seconds for my beard.
What?
So while that's happening, I'm talking to the Archwitch about the unaging Emperor.
The Emperor. The Emperor is an interesting case. I have not managed to gather much information, I'm afraid. Is it Vine? I believe Fiona has told us.
It is fine.
Yes. You are correct. His aging is odd. He is much younger and more athletic than he should be for his age, whilst his age does not compare anywhere near to mine.
Do you think that his wife, being a necromancer, could have used sacrifices to try and keep the Emperor young?
It is a possibility that we have explored. However, I do not believe that this is the case. Whatever
Interesting.
magic that the Emperor holds, rumor has it that it was given to him by some ancient power. Some believe the gods, some believe something else.
That would explain their symbol being something ancient.
The symbol is something strange as well, which I am glad that you have noticed. It is something that we have tried very hard to find information about, but information about this symbol seems to have almost disappeared from Inveria.
I mean, if this symbol is, and I don't mean to be rude, more ancient than you, I don't really know where we could find information about it.
Nor I, my dear boy. It is indeed more ancient than me. It is not something that I know of, and it seems to be long forgotten even before my time. And this voice is really knackering my throat.
I know.
I do love the ASMR you're giving us, though.
Yeah, I'm really good at doing this voice, but it fucking hurts my throat.
Well, we've got the idea of the voice in mind. If you want to take a break from it, mate.
No, I'll keep going it. Keep going with it.
Yeah.
I'm alright for that. So keep taking drinks.
Yeah, it's like the sound of a winded Voldemort.
But that's the idea. He is undead.
Yeah. He's pretty much sort of like a skeleton wearing a flesh bag.
Basically, at this point, yeah.
Aren't
So
we all?
you can
No.
you can roll me intelligence checks if you want to find out, because he has mentioned what he is. You can all roll me intelligence checks. I'm presuming Seldis is going to sit out of that.
I'm not even going to try.
Intelligence.
Yeah, still in the midst of cuddling.
Still in the midst of
What-
cuddling, I thought so.
What does intelligence like
Just
come
straight
off?
intelligence.
I think
Okay.
Ragnar's just gonna pick his nose because he has no idea what's going on.
Okay.
I mean, he doesn't know who this thing is. He's not even gonna try and figure it out.
Fair.
There's
I'll try.
no chance for him.
Let's see what you get.
Damn.
You've
Okay,
never
so
heard of an
I've no
arc lich
idea.
before. You've heard of liches, but an arc lich is something alien
No,
to you.
foreign
And
to me. Yeah.
liches, the only thing you've heard of is maybe old stories that liches are evil
Yeah.
creatures of magic, necromancy.
Yeah.
An arc lich, you say? Interesting. I've heard of your kind before, but I didn't think any of them existed. This is Hickavine, by the way. Didn't think any of them existed.
Too noble.
He's a little bit too noble. He did have a posh voice when he did it, but
True.
I didn't think any of your kind existed. You said your name was Anaxon, yes? That is right, Master Hickavine. Arc liches are somewhat distinct from our lich brethren. In fact, arc liches normally make it their business to hunt down and destroy liches. And that was my task for some time. Still is, to this day, in fact. Arc liches go through a much more arduous process of taking lichdom than our evil cousins do.
I always thought by the stories that lichdom was an evil art, but I see now that anything can be an evil art if you just take the evil parts of it.
Technically, lichdom is considered an evil art. And technically it is evil if you are unprepared for it. The necromantic energy, the undead nature of the transformation corrupts one's soul. Unless you are appropriately prepared. Which is a much more arduous ordeal. Lichdom for most is taken as an easy way of gaining immortality. And as such, they take it out of greed. Which corrupts them.
You take it? Why did you take it?
I took it to protect those that I cared about in this realm. To hunt down liches in the realm of Inveria, and in fact all of the living territories. That is still my quest to this day, but I also lend my knowledge and abilities to causes that I see just.
Where's...
I am also a seeker of knowledge as well. I've spent many years studying the finer aspects of magic.
Would you teach me a spell?
If you do not have the innate magic, I'm afraid, Master Dwarf, then I cannot do anything about it.
That's
You have to have a certain aptitude for it.
Fair enough. Thank you anyway, so...
And I have to say, Zeldisa, Mehala has been a wondrous learning experience and pupil. She has taught me much and learnt much off of me.
It's good you've been keeping the only family I've got left safe.
Of course. I would give up my lichdom to keep her safe. I swear that to you.
Thank you.
So where do we go from here?
There is Fiona chips in at this point. There is one more place that I would like you to introduce you to. He's not somebody that I would normally like to be associated with, but needs must in this situation.
Yes. We don't have, aside from the resistance, we don't have much in the way of real allies.
Beggars can't be choosers.
He's the leader of the black market of the city. He has a small presence. Now, sadly, he is not here at the moment, but as soon as he is available and back again, I will arrange for you to meet them. And you need to meet him, I think. I won't say much more than that. You need to meet him.
So,
He's difficult to put into words.
Zeldis, have you and your sister gone up off the floor yet?
Yeah, I get up.
So, you are safe. You are welcome to stay here. We have little in the way of sort of accommodation for you, I'm afraid, and I can show you the way to get here in the future. There is entrances all across the sewers, and there are markers to point you in the right direction. But my next question is, what do you do from here? She's directing this more at Seldisa than anyone else.
Okay, well, at the top of the list, I want to go and collect that fund. Also,
sounds like a reasonable idea.
Also, the last task my father sent me out of was to collect this. I pull out the magical metal that I had on me.
At that, Mayala gasps. That's dark silver.
Dark silver. I look at my morning star. My morning star.
Mayala stood just like staring at it wide-eyed.
Wait, hang on. Do I know that this is? Do I know that that's the material in my morning star?
Well, yeah, you would. Well, I don't know actually. Did you ever? You didn't really actually tell him that was dark silver morning star. Actually, did you?
Does it look like the same sort of steel?
It does look like the same sort of black material that's inlaid into the handle.
Yeah, and also the blowgun.
Yeah, and Seldice's blowgun.
In that case,
which are still both empty, by the way. I'd like to point out to you, they are still both empty of spells.
Yeah, I show the morning star as well. You were quite alright there, lassie.
She's now like almost like everything is forgotten at this point. She's buzzing like a child that's just been given an amazing present.
Did you want the morning star? Did that make you happy?
If you don't want it, I could research it, and me and Anaxon could look at upgrading things.
As in upgrading the morning star?
The same place I found it. Found the metal, the morning star. I also found this blowgun as well. As I pass it on.
She will basically she will take it. She will snap it. The morning star is way too heavy for her. So you give it to her, and she's just like trying to carry this thing.
I'll pick. No, don't worry, lass. I got this. Where do you need it?
Over there, on the workbench. On the workbench.
I chuck it on the workbench with a little bit too much force.
She clatters and maybe smashes a couple of vials here and there, and an accent's kind of a little bit like, could you please be a little bit more careful? But Mayala is just like, I don't care, new toy.
Does not know the word subtlety. I'm very sure day one he has never known the word subtlety.
So Mayala, can you explain what's got you so excited about this?
Black dark silver is an incredible material. It's not never before seen in Inveria. It's completely alien to us. It has innate magical properties that allows it to store magical energy inside of it. In the cases of your weapons, it sounds like that somebody has been able to infuse it with a particular kind of spell. What those spells would be? What
Slow down, lassie.
There's no way of slowing her down. Sildisa would know this. There is no way of slowing her down at this point.
Once she's gotten started, literally nothing in the entire, all the realms will stop her.
3 simple words! I dwarf, I don't understand.
She's
Please.
just ignoring you at this point. Doesn't matter what spells, we can just put whatever spells in by the sounds of it that we can infuse the material with. The ingots that
Which?
Sildisa has got there I can refine into something, and she's just now talking to herself.
Can
none
you
of you
make
exist
better?
anymore. Literally none of you exist to her at the moment. I do believe that she will be like that for quite some time.
Yeah, I am very used to her. Very used to her like that. Ever since she was born, she was like that.
I'm starting to get the impression. I have spent some time with her, and yes, I am starting to get the impression and get used to it myself.
Alright, well,
I will
so
take care of
am
her,
I
and we
removing
will have a
my
look through
character
this.
sheet then?
Sorry?
Am I removing this from my character sheet
You
then?
can indeed remove the Dark Silver Blowgun from your character sheet and the Dark Silver Morningstar, so you can remove those. You can also remove from your items the ingots of Dark Silver.
I
But-
don't think I.
Oh, if you
I don't
haven't
think
put
I
them in,
actually-
don't worry about it. I thought
Yeah.
you might have put them in as like a custom item, as like a note at the bottom.
I don't think I did.
It doesn't matter. If you haven't put it on, don't worry about it then. And Fiona will say that she will walk you to. She will show you the way to get out and obviously to get back in again. Before you leave, however, Mayala will break from her reverie for a second and say to you, "Sel, I might have something for you before you leave to wherever you're going later, so come back."
Okay.
So you move off into the city. You should probably spend a short rest of time attuning to this magical item. I'll let you do that whilst you're walking through. In theory, you should sit down and do stuff, but I'll just say that you do it at some point. As Fiona leads you through the twisting pathways of the sewers underneath Abermay. Out to the entrance that you were at by the tower.
Okay.
Presume, do you want to shift appearance?
Yeah, I put the ring on and sort of allow my appearance to shift to. What was the other appearance? It was.
Callous, snow, silent snow. There, callous, silent
Okay.
snow.
Callous Silent Snow.
Yes.
Wait, does Seldisa know if you can take like guests into the Moon District along with yourself?
So, Sildisa, you would know that looking at the permit that you've been given, you are capable of taking a single person in with you.
Ah, so one person and a cat.
Yes, one person and a cat.
Doesn't say anything about pets, so.
Yeah. So I shall be.
I shall stay behind. I shall stay with Malaya for the time being. See what I can do about
Right.
assisting in any way.
When should I become a cat? Just like now, because it
Can
lasts
do,
for
it's
an
up to you.
hour.
Probably not. It'd take you some time to get there. So you can just say
Yeah.
that you want to become a cat for long
Yeah,
enough that
yeah.
you wouldn't be sort of discovered.
I just want to be a
Okay,
cat.
now I need to decide who I'm going to bring with me.
Well, Vine's going to be a cat, so
Yeah.
I think you're sorted.
Yeah.
who
I
else
know.
is left? Sadly.
Hickey, Vane, and Ragnar.
Yeah,
Well,
Higgiby's
Higgiby's
just said
a-
he's going to go back.
Ah, okay, so Ragnar. Okay, Ragnar.
Of course, it's going to be Ragnar. Ragnar actually cares about you.
Ragnar. When you go in, be extremely polite. This is a part of town which they don't particularly look kindly upon people who fool around.
Oh, am I gonna have to clean myself?
Yes.
Oh,
You are gonna have.
Good idea.
You're gonna have to. Yeah.
You can
Yeah, you're
find. I
gonna
will say
have-
that you can find a point, or Fiona probably gave you an area where you could go and douse yourself with water and get yourself cleaned up before you left.
oh,
Okay. So you now look presentable.
I've got a little dicky tie as well. Dicky bow. Ragnar with a dicky bow. Right, that's your next drawing to do.
So yeah, that's chief artist's next drawing is Ragnar in a tuxedo.
Yes, tuxedo. Like, not looking very smart, but like he's trying.
So you make your way. We're going to fast track through this. So you make your way through the checkpoint, no problem. You show the permit. Seldisa is carrying Vine as a cat draped across his shoulders. Ragnar is walking past.
Just
as well.
smiling.
Just smiling.
Just smiling at everyone.
And Seldisa, you can make your way. Fortunately for you, the bank is not too far into the Moon District. It's just inside the main gate. So you can walk into that. You show your identifications. They check it against their records, and I'll say to you, "It's a pleasure to see you again, Master Silent Snow. Let us go and get your security deposit box, and we shall bring it to a private room just through there. And they'll show you to a small private room."
I just realised it would be very suspicious to take all the money out right now, especially after public execution.
Well, they don't know what you take. It's a security deposit box.
True.
It's not
yeah.
a bank account, it's a security deposit box. Sorry, I should clarify that.
Oh, yes.
It's not a bank
Yeah.
account that they have access to, it's a security deposit box.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So it's you could store items and stuff like this in that security deposit box.
Yeah.
So they bring
wonder
out,
how
they,
it works.
they lead you to a room. It's closed off. You can close the door behind you and keep things nice and closed. They bring to you a little metal lockbox and a key, and they duck themselves out.
Surely these things normally have two keys, right? One that you have and one that they keep.
This is medieval times, you idiot. So no. Oh, careful.
Medieval
When these-
times with a security deposit box.
Well, security deposit box for that time. It's basically a big iron chest. That's what it is.
Okay.
So
They
probably do have a spare key,
Now
but-
now the assistants have vacated the room. The door is closed. No one can see what we're up to. Use the key and open the lockbox.
inside is a bag.
Back.
The bag.
I have a look inside the
No,
bag.
sorry,
a
there's a
bag of
bag
holding.
and a note.
Is it a bag of holding?
It's not a bag of holding. It just seems to be a small leather bag.
Okay, I'll open the bag.
There's a note as well.
So I'll first open the bag.
I've
You
noticed
get
you've
back
not been
first.
passing notes, Owen.
Sorry?
Yeah, I know you haven't been like passing notes to people rather than saying them aloud.
Yeah, it's because I haven't written them.
No, fair enough.
So I'll
I have no
have
chance
a look
to
at the note.
The note basically says, and again, finer details I will send through to you. The note basically says, if you are reading this, I am dead. Please use the contents of this lockbox in any way that you see fit to assist yourself and your allies.
Okay.
Inside
So-
the bag are 20 black sapphires. They're large gemstones. Each of them is about the size. It's not quite a golf ball size, but it is big.
I'm meow in amazement.
As about the size of like a grape, like a big grape.
Kinda, a little bit bigger than a grape.
I sort of
Each of them is worth 5,000 gold.
ching.
I try and say we're rich, but it just comes out with in a series of wow.
I assume it's probably not like Ragnar through, because he probably just smells a little bit.
No, Ragnar's in here.
So-
Ragnar can come in.
okay.
20 black sapphires worth 5,000 gold each, to a total of 100,000 gold.
Fucking hell.
Sorry, I'm just.
Let's buy an airship.
I close at the bag, pocket it, making
Those
sure
of you
that
watching the stream will notice that I am very much smiling at Squishy's past comment.
I close at the bag, so pocket that and the letter away, close the lockbox, and exit the room.
The question is, who's going to fucking buy that? Who's going to be able to have the money to give, like, 100,000 gold?
Dude, you're talking to somebody. You're talking about somebody who is literally nobility.
There has got to be people who would buy this for a lot.
True.
They're black sapphires. They're worth 5,000 gold each. You also have a contact that is able to contact the black market.
True.
Not to mention, you could probably literally just hand over one of these things and go, yeah, money. Use these black sapphires as currency, basically.
That's true.
Yeah.
Question,
They're worth
how much is
5 grand
an airship?
each. They'd probably just go, yeah, fuck it, I'll have it.
How much is an airship?
Don't know.
Would my character have an idea of how much one would cost?
They are really, really frigging expensive.
Basically, you haven't figured it out yet.
Ollie. No, they are really. No, I have actually. I have actually figured out, and I've custom made one. In fact, you would not know they are. You would know that they are incredibly expensive. You would not know exactly how much they are worth, but you suspect they're probably in the range of somewhere between 30 to 50,000. Plus, you would also need to hire a crew, etc., etc. You would, however, know that there is the opportunity to purchase them in Abermay. Or, well, not quite in Abermay. There is a small airship dockyard and sort of scrapyard just outside of the town called Izzy's Airships. So you would know that. If you wanted to buy an airship, there is the capability of you purchasing an airship.
We could either buy an airship or a mech.
I don't think that you cannot buy mechs.
Damn.
Remember that it would be the equivalent of trying to purchase a Challenger 2.
I mean, if you look around, you'll find someone selling it.
I don't think BA Systems have Challenger 2 tanks for sale.
Anyway.
But apart from that, if you go back to I will a little bit of retcon because I forgot a little bit. If Fiona, as she's walking you out, will say to you that if you are looking to assist us in whatever way that you can, what we need most at the moment is allies. We cannot do anything to oppose the Emperor and his forces without allies.
Can we go slaughtering some of the guards around the poverty pit are like unfairly attacking civilians?
Suspect that would not do anything but call more guards, which would cause more. They'd effectively slaughter the people in the sprawl, which I'd rather avoid if possible.
Yeah.
Right, so we need allies.
We need allies. We need strength. We need something that will stand up to the Imperial forces, which currently
Wait, I just realised
we
we're
do not
still
have.
in the bank.
No, you're not. This is before. This is before you even left the sewers, actually.
Okay.
Do we have? Do we need to get allies from other cities?
Other cities. are still in the control of the Empire, you may well be able to find a few bits and pieces here and there, but
What about outside the...
that would be my best bet. That
So,
would be my
outside of Bavaria?
recommendation. I would suggest that finding allies in other realms would be a better option.
So perhaps we do need an airship to get us out there quickly.
I do have a contact in Ashwan in Yangguo, who would be potentially able to assist.
Where is the
Yay!
on the map? Where is the Freeman House located?
It's over to this side of the Moon District. Right, one of the houses on this block here.
Will we have enough time to reach it before?
Not
the
before
target
Vine
went?
turns back into a bird.
Okay.
Yeah. And before Ragnar Snell starts to get suspicious.
And that's the end of the session. 5 o'clock. Just gone 5, in fact, actually, we've overrun. So.
And
Ta-da! Yes, why Izzy's airships? Yeah, this was a choice not made by me. I'd like to point out, Izzy. It wasn't specifically made to be Izzy.
yeah, that was there a
Other
while ago. I
things.
think you had a handbook for it, didn't you?
Other things, yeah. So there we go. That was an interesting session filled with ups and downs and tension, and
Ragnar.
I was basically just ecstatic about the entire thing.
That was amazing, mate. That was brilliant story writing.
I just put a picture of the Freeman family in general.
Sorry?
You know, like you said, like I did sort of art. I remember I did art for the Freeman family, like a while back. I just posted a picture of that in chat.
Yes. That is what I was basing some of the descriptions off of. So yeah, right. That's us done for that week. I think next week it'll be an interesting session of potentially going and buying an airship by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
And maybe making your way across to a brand new city in a brand new realm for that
Can
matter.
we see the map?
You can see the map. Let me take you across to the map. Let's move you across.
I kind of hate how you can describe the picture as traitor alive, dead.
Traitor alive, dead, yeah.
She's
So
saying-
Ashan is up in the corner here. Let me scroll out so I can see it on my screen. So you are where the pin is in Abame at the moment. Ashan is up here. There it is. But that is us done for the week.
Don't suppose we got any XP from any of that.
No, sadly, no XP this week.
Oh.
But that was an exciting session. I think you should all agree, and I think that was exactly how I wanted to play. Really, I was expecting more of an uproar, an uprising in the plaza at the point of execution, but interestingly enough, you decided to be a lot more reserved than your normal selves.
Were you expecting a fight?
I kind of expected you guys to try.
What would have happened if we tried?
Well, like Fiona said, that they were in place with things to stop you.
Yeah. I just... It was...
I was going to use Moonbeam on the Emperor.
You couldn't have remember because it was an anti-magic field.
Yeah, but I was thinking of using that.
Hurt the Emperor.
Yeah, you wouldn't have even been able to cast the spell.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're done. We'll continue this off
I
cam.
would have done better than
Sounds
like
good.
1,000 other
Alright.
people.
So
before.
that's us done for the week. We will be back next week with some airship purchasing and travel montages. And yeah, thank you very much, those of you that decided to watch. I think there's only 3 of you at the moment, and one of them's Izzy. That was a very interesting and exciting one, and I did warn you that this would not be a campaign of cuddles and rainbows. So I think you finally got your very first taste of quite how gritty and grim this campaign is designed to be. And yeah, we'll see you next week, I think. This is going up on YouTube, on my YouTube, the Wedge Wolf. So if you want to go back and rewatch it, it'll be on the highlights on Twitch for a while, but then it will also be on YouTube. And yeah, right. So everyone say bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Ragnar later.
And we're done.